Chapter 9:12. He Dongfeng searched every room in the house, but he couldn't find his wife and child. Just as he was about to explode in panic, he saw a letter nailed to the wall by a fruit knife. He Dongfeng was tortured by his ringing ears and had a splitting headache. His hands trembled as he took down the letter. The content was very simple. Your wife and child are in my hands. If you want them to live, then take care of your own hands. If you dare to call the police, I dare to kill them. I've already died once, so there's nothing to be afraid of in this world. Back then, you colluded with the old white dog in the casino to cheat us. It's time for me to settle the score for you. We've just started. There's no rush. Let's play slowly. Wait for my news. Signed Ruan Chao. Boom. He Dongfeng felt his blood pressure instantly rise to more than 200. How could this matter from a few years ago not be forgotten? Ruan Chao. In He Dongfeng's eyes, this name was no different from a ghost. However, He Dongfeng was He Dongfeng after all. He had experienced the world, so he quickly calmed himself down. What kind of evil had he done to deserve such revenge? He Dongfeng's left hand trembled as he held the letter. He took out his phone with his right hand and dialed 1 with his trembling hand. Then he pressed 1 again. When his finger moved to 0, He Dongfeng stopped trembling, but he couldn't press it no matter what. He was a sensible person. He knew that the first thing to do was to call the police, but he was also too afraid. What if the other party really killed the hostage? Wouldn't that be the end? He dared to risk himself, but he didn't dare to risk his child. This was his family's only child, his lifeline. He Dongfeng, who was flustered, didn't dare to call the police in the end. Perhaps it was this sudden change that disturbed his train of thought. When he calmed down, he slapped his head hard. Then he gave himself 2 tight slaps. How could he forget such an important matter in such a short period of time? Wasn't Su Yin asking Jin Kuang to find news of Ruan Chao for him? Wasn't this the news of Ruan Chao? After grabbing onto a life-saving straw, He Dongfeng took a deep breath. That's right. Su Yin would definitely solve this problem for him. He opened the wine cabinet and took out a bottle of white wine. He took a big gulp, and the spicy taste in his throat cleared his mind. He quickly dialed Jin Kuang's number. After receiving He Dongfeng's message, Jin Kuang was stunned for a while before regaining his senses. Aya! This was a big deal. Jin Kuang could not wait any longer. He immediately described Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang's appearance to the young lady at the service desk. After confirming Su Yun's room, he rushed over. Just as he reached the door of the room, Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang opened the door and prepared to leave Nanjiang. After seeing Jin Kuang, Su Yun was quite surprised. He thought to himself, why did this guy come here? Chairman Su, Miss Ruan, there's news about Ruan Chao. Although Jin Kuang took the elevator up, he was still panting. After hearing Jin Kuang's description, the thing in Ruan Qingshuang's hand fell to the ground. Everything happened too suddenly. There was no time for her to digest it. The panic made Ruan Qingshuang lose her ability to think. She looked as if she had lost her soul and stared blankly at Su Yun. Let's go. Let's go to He Dongfeng's house first. Su Yun quickly made a decision. He Dongfeng's house was still in a mess. There was not much left of the bottle of white wine on the coffee table. When Su Yun and the rest arrived, He Dongfeng stood up with a red face and knelt in front of Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang. He no longer cared about the saying that men had gold under their knees. Chairman Su, you must help me. Save my wife and child. He Dongfeng did not hide his annoyance and regret at all. He was almost crying as he begged. My He family only has one son. If anything happens to him, I really have no words to face my ancestors. Get up and talk. Su Yun maintained his calm. Don't worry. Things won't be that bad. I believe that Ruan Chao won't do something so extreme. Tell me, what did you find? He Dongfeng stood up in a panic and handed the letter to Su Yun. It's this. Only this. I don't know anything else. Su Yun took the letter and handed it to Ruan Qingshuang. Ruan Qingshuang took it with trembling hands. After reading the content, she said to Su Yun with certainty, this is Ruan Chao's handwriting. It must be, it can't be wrong. He has liked to stretch the word Chao since he was young. Because of this, I have often told him off. It must be, it must be. That's right. Ruan Qingshuang was a little excited, and even a little happy. At least she was now sure that her brother was not dead. This was such important news to her. Although it was not appropriate to be happy at this time, Ruan Qingshuang really could not hide her heart. Other than this, is there nothing else? Su Yin frowned. He Dongfeng shook his head. No, there was nothing. There was only this note. It seems that we can only wait. Jin Kuang sighed. Only Ruan Chao contacted us. Otherwise, we wouldn't know where to find him. Su Yin did not say anything. After comforting Ruan Qingshuang to sit down, he walked out of the room. He wanted to see if there were any clues that could be found. Although Jin Kuang was right and waiting was the only way, he did not want to wait. Because every minute of waiting meant that he Dongfeng's wife and children would be in danger. If Ruan Chao's blood rushed to his head and did something irrational, that would be troublesome. Even if he was Ruan Qingshuang's younger brother, if he did something to harm the innocent, Su Yin would also hand him over to the relevant department to give him the punishment he deserved. He believed that Ruan Qingshuang would do the same. But they did not want such an outcome when they found him. Su Yin thought as he carefully investigated the clues left on the ground. Soon, he found a tire mark that was not obvious. He bent down to study it. Based on the width of the tire and the reaction of the grip when it started, it was very likely that it was a pickup truck. Of course, this was Su Yin's guess. It was a guess based on probability. The people who lived near He Dongfeng's villa were all rich people. Ordinary people could not afford such a villa. So there should not be anyone who drove a pickup truck nearby, right? Even if there were, it would be very few. After confirming his guess, Su Yin asked Jin Kuang to use his connections to find someone to record the footage of the cameras at both ends of the road. Moreover, the kidnapping could not be spread. Su Yin was also worried that something would happen. He did not want Ruan Chao to hurt anyone. As long as Ruan Chao did not hurt anyone, the rest would be easy to solve. This matter was very easy for Jin Kuang. He left in a hurry after making a few phone calls. Of course, he had to be 120% careful about what Su Yin had asked him to do. It would definitely be done beautifully, and Su Yin would only be able to thank him. About an hour later, Jin Kuang obtained the surveillance footage for this period of time. After sending it to Su Yin could not wait to watch the surveillance footage. As expected, a pickup truck without a license plate entered and left the road during this period of time. Su Yin could basically conclude that this truck was Ruan Chao's tool to commit the crime. Chapter 913. The pickup truck's final destination was a canning factory in Nanjiang's old industrial zone. As people's living standards became higher and higher, they could eat whatever they wanted at any time. There were all kinds of out-of-season fruits. Canned food slowly faded out of people's sight. This kind of thing that was the first choice for patients 20 to 30 years ago was also replaced by all kinds of high-end gifts. Of course, it did not mean that there were no canned food now, but there were indeed fewer of them. People born in the 1980s definitely knew that canned food was something they dreamed of eating when they were young. Now, even if they saw it in the supermarket, they would sigh and wonder how much preservatives and additives were added to these fruits. Therefore, those who did not close down were all capable. Most of them were done for. Nanjiang's canning factory was an abandoned place 5 years ago. Other than the occasional activities of some young people who were involved in heavy metal rock music, there was basically no one here on normal days. No one would come to this declining place to look for memories. Moreover, this old industrial zone had already been planned by Nanjiang City as a future key planning and reconstruction project. Other than those who wanted to bid and inspect it, no one would come to this place that could be called desolate. If one wanted to kidnap and shelter a hostage, this place was really the best choice in Nanjiang. At least Su Yin felt that this place was too suitable, so he could basically conclude that Ruan Chao had already brought He Dongfeng's wife and children to this place. If nothing unexpected happened, Ruan Chao was now thinking about how to take revenge on He Dongfeng. It was reasonable for Ruan Chao to want to take revenge on He Dongfeng. He did not even dare to return home because he was He Dongfeng's scapegoat. Moreover, He Dongfeng had actually colluded with the local ruffian, Old White Dog, to set them up and cheat them of their money. In order to get back the money, Ruan Chao was almost hacked to death. With these things squeezed together, it was inevitable that Ruan Chao would want to take revenge on this black-hearted coal boss. After knowing that Su Yin was going to the canning factory in the old industrial zone to investigate, Jin Kuang rushed back to lead the way for Su Yin. He was very familiar with the old industrial zone, and was definitely the best choice to be a guide. Although He Dongfeng suggested to go together, Su Yin rejected him. He felt that Ruan Chao would do such a crazy thing because he was extreme. If He Dongfeng appeared, he was worried that Ruan Chao would do something irrational. It would not be too late for them to settle this matter first. He Dongfeng could not dissuade him, so he could only stay at home and drink. Jin Kuang also understood him and promised him that he would definitely bring his wife and children back unharmed. Only then did He Dongfeng heave a sigh of relief in his heart. His trust in Jin Kuang far exceeded that of Su Yin and Ruan Qingshuang. By the time Su Yin and the others arrived at the abandoned factory in the old industrial zone, the sky was already dark. Jin Kuang was like a SWAT officer who was about to carry out a secret operation, and was about to sneak in. Su Yin directly told him that there was no need. Once they found the pickup truck, the problem would be solved. He did not believe that Ruan Chao would still be so extreme and crazy after seeing his sister. It was indeed Ruan Chao who did it. Back then, he was not hacked to death by the old white dog's subordinates. His savior was like a gift from God. Not only did he save him, who was on the verge of death from excessive blood loss, but he also brought him a brand new world and life. However, after so many years, he still could not forget his black-hearted boss. Finally, he had the chance to complete his revenge plan in Nanjiang. It was because of this person that Ruan Chao did not even dare to return home. He had more than 30 scars of various sizes on his body. He did not know if his family would still recognize him when he returned home. Tears streaked across the shocking scar on Ruan Chao's face. He only hoped that his parents would pretend that they never had a son like him. He Dongfeng's wife and children were tied up opposite him. Their mouths were stuffed with a rag and they were sobbing. If it was the soft-hearted Ruan Chao a few years ago, he would not have done such a crazy thing even if he was beaten to death. However, he was no longer the him of the past. He wanted He Dongfeng to pay the price. He did not even think about how terrifying the hearts of the mother and son were. The sun was setting in the west, and the sky was gradually darkening. Everything in the old industrial district seemed so quiet. However, the sound of a car engine tore through the silence before the night fell. The tears in Ruan Chao's eyes suddenly stopped. He carefully walked to the window on the second floor of the cannery. Through the broken glass, he saw someone parking a car beside his pickup truck. Ruan Chao's mind was spinning rapidly. In the face of an unexpected situation, he had to make emergency preparations. However, at this moment, a voice pierced his chest like a sharp sword. Ruan Chao. It's me, sister. The young man who was wrapped in scars instantly burst into tears. Even if he was in hell, he could still recognize the voice of his sister, Ruan Qingshuang. No. Impossible. Ruan Chao quickly denied his thoughts. How could it be his sister? He must have been hallucinating because he missed his hometown. This was absolutely impossible. His sister was just an ordinary person who lived in a corner of a city and lived a difficult life. How could she take a luxury car to Nanjiang to find him who was committing a crime? Ruan Chao felt that he was about to go crazy. Indeed, the revenge mentality made his mind split. His heart was both kind and dark and frightening at the same time. Ruan Chao, I know you're here. Don't continue. Stop. You're not that kind of person. You're my brother. I know you. Ruan Qingshuang's call came again. Ruan Chao was stunned. He was completely stunned. Could it be that this was not an illusion? Buzz. Ruan Chao's mind went blank. He did not have time to threaten the two struggling hostages. His mind was filled with his sister's figure. He did not remember how many years it had been since he last saw his sister. How could this not be an illusion? Could it be a dream? Ruan Chao's ears kept calling out, but his feet seemed to be frozen in cement. It was not until a few figures appeared in front of him that he came back to his senses. Less than 20 meters away from him, who else could it be but his sister Ruan Qingshuang? Ruan Qingshuang's tears were completely uncontrollable. Even though Ruan Chao's face was completely disfigured by the shocking scar, She could still recognize him at a glance. This was her brother, the brother who had always respected and loved her. When she escaped from her hometown, Yuan Chao had always supported her spiritually. Yuan Chao knew that his sister did not want to marry that lazy guy from the Liu family. Everything seemed to be frozen. Yuan Chao once again used his rough hands to rub his face. The person in front of him did not disappear. All of this was real. It's me. Yuan Qingshuang was already sobbing. She could not believe how much her brother had suffered. Yuan Chao's lower lip trembled slightly as he called out, "Sister." Su Yun and Jin Kuang finally heaved a sigh of relief because they saw that He Dongfeng's wife and children were only tied to the load-bearing pillar and were not hurt. This was good. Yuan Chao had not made an irreparable mistake. Su Yun did not want to disturb the siblings' reunion, so he quietly walked over to rescue the hostages. At this moment, Yuan Chao was like a hungry wolf whose tail had been stepped on. He suddenly charged at Su Yun and kicked out with lightning speed. Su Yun did not expect this kid to make a move, and he did not expect Yuan Qingshuang's brother to be so swift and violent. When he realized it, he was completely unable to block in his current situation. He was actually sent flying several meters by Yuan Chao's kick to the chest. Chapter 9:14. Su Yun was sent flying with a kick. Beads of sweat appeared on Jin Kuang's forehead. Oh my god, is this okay? If I get kicked like that, I probably won't even be able to stand up, right? This wasn't the time for Jin Kuang to show off. He would rather stand there obediently than rush forward to help. He believed that Su Yun would definitely understand him. Yuan Chao didn't have any intention of stopping. He followed closely and pushed forward, forcing Su Yun into a dead end. Su Yun endured the tightness in his chest and cursed in his heart. Bastard, if I had half of the internal energy I had before, I would have beaten you to the ground. But now he didn't even have the strength to resist. To be honest, he was like a tiger that had fallen from grace. Seeing that Yuan Chao's hammer-sized fist was about to greet his body, Su Yun could only raise his hand to block. With Su Yun's current physical condition, it was still very easy for him to deal with hooligans. But when it came to dealing with experts, it was obvious that there was no way he could do anything. Stop! Yuan Qingshuang angrily rebuked and strode forward. Logically speaking, she had finally found her long-lost brother. The scene of the siblings hugging each other and crying bitterly should have been the scene of her crying. But what Yuan Chao did to Su Yun made Yuan Qingshuang very angry. After all, she was the elder sister. Although she loved her only brother since he was young, she was also quite strict with him. Often, when Yuan Chao did something wrong, he would rather let his parents know than let his sister know. Yuan Qingshuang's strictness towards him was far more than his parents' strictness towards him. But Yuan Chao knew in his heart that this was because his sister loved him. Otherwise, she would be too lazy to care about him. In this world, perhaps only Yuan Qingshuang could speak out to stop Yuan Chao. Yuan Chao's fist was like a fully drawn bow. Slowly, bit by bit, it softened. But Yuan Qingshuang's footsteps didn't slow down at all. She slapped Yuan Chao's still raised fist fiercely. Her heart was filled with anger and heartache. Yuan Chao turned his head, as if he didn't want his sister to see his face. Sister, why are you here? If I didn't appear here, you'd have made a big mistake. Do you know what you're doing? Kidnapping. This is a crime. Yuan Qingshuang's body trembled. For so many years, I thought that I was dreaming to see you again. Yuan Chao, to see you. Yuan Chao. Do you know how much I used to hope that you were still alive? But when I saw you, I really hoped that you were dead. Since you're alive, why didn't you? Don't you know that your parents and I were worried? Yuan Chao. Of Yuan of Qingshuang's scolding. To Yuan's to be to his twos. How could he not feel ashamed of what he had done? He didn't fulfill his duty as a son. He didn't fulfill his duty as a younger brother. I'm already like this. I don't want you to worry. Yuan Chao knew that his reason was far-fetched, but it was indeed his reason. No matter what, you're still a member of the Yuan family. You're also my parents' son. You're also my younger brother. Yuan Qingshuang's heart was in pain that others could not understand. Su Yun was glad that this kid still had some conscience, and did not dare to disobey his sister's words. Otherwise, he would have been beaten up miserably today. He stood up and patted the dust off his body. He no longer bothered with Ruan Chao. If there's anything, we'll talk about it when we get back. Let He Dongfeng's wife and children go first. Who are you? Ruan Chao glared angrily at the guy who ruined his good deed. His sister could order him around, hit him, and whip him. He could do anything, but an outsider could not. Ruan Qingshuang saw her brother's angry look and understood his thoughts. She did not reprimand him. Instead, she stood beside Su Yun and said to Ruan Chao seriously, "He's Su Yun. You should call him brother. If it wasn't for him, I'm afraid you wouldn't have the chance to see me in this lifetime. If it wasn't for him, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to go home in this lifetime." Hearing Ruan Qingshuang say that she was going home, Ruan Chao's heart was touched. He knew the reason why his sister ran away from home, so it was hard to imagine that his sister could go back. If you dare to be disrespectful to him again, don't blame me for teaching you how to be a person again. Ruan Qingshuang said very seriously. This guy. Ruan Chao sighed in his heart. Su Yun. What is Su Yun? To be able to make my sister so devoted to you. He was obviously a talent. No matter what, Ruan Chao's opinion of Su Yun had changed slightly. Moreover, he saw in Ruan Qingshuang's eyes that he could not disobey an order. Su. Chairman Su, how should we deal with this matter? Jin Kuang was still a little nervous. He might not be afraid of big leaders or rich people, but he was definitely afraid of this kind of person who did not care about his life. For these people who did not care about their lives, Jin Kuang would hide as far away as he could. Su Yun knew that his words were not persuasive in front of Ruan Chao, so he shrugged. It seemed that this matter still needed to be resolved by Ruan Qingshuang. President Jin, I'll have to trouble you to bring Mrs. He and the others back. Ruan Qingshuang said. I have a presumptuous request. Although this matter is my brother's fault, I still hope that this matter can be resolved privately. After all, he didn't do anything irreparable. I just hope that this matter won't be blown up. Jin Kuang nodded repeatedly. Don't worry about this matter, Miss Ruan. I promise you that He Dongfeng will definitely not say a word about this matter to anyone. I dare to use my life as a guarantee. Sister, what are you doing? Only then did Ruan Chao realize that his sister was here to undermine him. He immediately frowned. This is my personal matter. I will definitely take care of it. Take care of what? Ruan Qingshuang glared fiercely at Ruan Chao. I'm telling you, let them go right now. Otherwise, I'll call the police right now. If you want to stop me, then try. I'm your sister. You know what kind of person I am. Sister. Ruan Chao was completely speechless. Su Yun gave Jin Kuang a look, indicating for him to let them go. Jin Kuang trembled as he took 2 steps forward. Seeing that Ruan Chao did not react, he let out a sigh of relief. Ruan Qingshuang said indifferently, I know everything that has happened to you these years. I understand. But this is definitely not a reason for you to take this path of revenge. There are still parents at home. They have been waiting for news of you, their son. Today, if you insist on being stubborn, even if sister dies, I will sound your alarm. Ruan Chao did not dare to say anything else. Of course he understood his sister. She meant what she said. Su Yun was shocked by Ruan Qingshuang's aura. He really did not expect Ruan Qingshuang to have such a strong side. This was probably called, everything has its weakness, right? However, Su Yun was more curious about Ruan Chao's skills. An expert was not something that anyone could become. How many people could not even get a glimpse of the door in their entire lives? Ruan Chao had disappeared for a few years, but he had actually become an expert. There was one thing that Su Yun was sure of. There must be an expert behind him. Perhaps, the person who saved his life back then was the person who made him the expert he was today. At this time, Jin Kuang had already hurriedly untied the hands and feet of He Dongfeng's wife and children. He comforted them not to panic and prepared to take them away. Su Yun motioned for him to leave quickly. They would take care of things here. Jin Kuang did not hesitate and rushed downstairs with the 2 hostages. Chapter 9:15. Come with me. Ruan Qingshuang didn't mean to reprimand him. She hadn't seen her brother for so many years. How could she bear to reprimand him? Ruan Chao was obviously controlling his emotions. His current inner world was filled with all sorts of emotions. He was apologetic to his family, disgusted with He Dongfeng, and grateful to the heavens for letting him meet his sister again. He tried his best to extinguish the burning anger in his heart before saying faintly, "Sister, I can't go back. I'm no longer the weak little brother you used to be. I've changed. Even if you become a god, you're still my brother." Ruan Qingshuang said bluntly. The tradition of her hometown was that her feelings for her family could never be changed. Not to mention that she wasn't married yet. Even if she was, her feelings for her family would never be bland. "If you have any nonsense to say it after you leave this place with us." Su Yun. "Although I believe in Jin Kuang, I don't believe in He Dongfeng's family. They might give him face in front of Jin Kuang. But if Jin Kuang leaves and they really call the police, it's not something we can predict. Although what you did was an attempt, it's enough to sentence you to 2 years." Although Ruan Chao's opinion of Su Yun was slightly better than before, it didn't mean that he would listen to Su Yun's suggestion. "Outsiders don't have the right to interfere with my family's matters. I'm giving my sister face by not touching you. You better have a clear light in your heart and don't give me any orders. You don't have that right." What the F***ck? Su Yun really wanted to slap this brat's head. "I've been in the Dragon Fury team for so many years, and it's fine that I came to this world to mingle in the underworld. I've always been the master who gives orders. Even super experts who are much more powerful than you have to give me full face. You actually dare to throw me in the face?" Of course he has that right. He's my man. Whatever he says is equivalent to what I say. Whatever he says, you have to listen to it. Unless I don't have that so-called right in your heart. Ruan Qingshuang changed her usual style, and actually said such words. Not only was Ruan Chao shocked, but also Su Yun. Was this Ruan Qingshuang? It seemed like she had been influenced by Zhuo Meiyan's strong woman personality. Wasn't Zhuo Meiyan just like that? Other than Su Yun, she was quite domineering towards everyone else. And now, Ruan Qingshuang was like this. Her strong attitude towards her younger brother was no different from how Zhuo Meiyan taught Zhu Yeming. Ruan Chao's jaw almost dropped to the ground. He pointed at Su Yun in disbelief. Sis, you're not joking with me, right? I definitely won't allow it. If a man doesn't even have basic strength, how can he protect you? He can't even beat me. I don't agree. The brother-in-law I want must be strong. Expert. Do you think you're an expert just because you're a weakling? Ruan Qingshuang was obviously speechless at her younger brother's self-confidence. If she had known Su Yun before, she would have definitely seen her younger brother as an expert among experts. But now it was different. She had experienced too much and seen too much. From the beginning of the Four Wolves gang, then to Tsang Ying and Qin Hu, then to Green Ghost, and then to Hades' King Lung Chun. Ruan Qingshuang was no longer that weak and ignorant girl. Hearing his sister say that he was a weakling, Ruan Chao was of course very surprised. After a few years of hard training, he was a dignified second-rate expert. But his sister actually said that he was a weakling? If it wasn't for your brother Su Yun being hurt by bad people, you wouldn't even be worthy to carry his shoes. Ruan Qingshuang wasn't worried about hurting her younger brother's self-esteem at all. What she said was the truth. A second-rate expert really wasn't worthy to carry Su Yun's shoes. Ruan Chao wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. Even if his sister said it, he wouldn't believe it. T. He was a second-rate expert. Out of 1,000,000 people, there might not even be one who could reach his state of mind. Su Yun wasn't in the mood to talk about this. We'll talk about this later. Let's go back to Xinjiang first. I said, don't order me around. I won't go with you. Ruan Chao looked at Su Yun and frowned. Ruan Qingshuang directly said, okay, you won't go, right? I'll call the police. This kidnapping was all arranged by me. If you turn yourself in, you might be treated leniently. I won't let you go to jail, but if you don't go, someone will have to take responsibility for this. Sister, aren't you forcing me? You forced me first. Ruan Qingshuang glared and said, are you going with me or not? I'll ask you one last time. As she said this, Ruan Qingshuang had already taken out her phone. Looking at her posture, she was really going to call the police. Su Yun grinned. Sister Shuang's temper was simply not the same as last night's gentleness. Cough cough. Now wasn't the time to think about last night's gentleness. I didn't expect that I, the great Yen Long, would be no different from an ordinary person after my true energy was damaged. I couldn't even beat a kid with the strength of an ordinary expert. If this kid dared to be disobedient in the past, Su Yin would have raised his hand to knock him out and take him away. However, things were different now. Even though Su Yin was mentally prepared, he still couldn't accept the fact that he couldn't even beat an ordinary expert. Okay. I'll listen to you. Ruan Chao was finally convinced in front of his sister. What else could he do? After all, Ruan Qingshuang was his biological sister. Even if he didn't listen to his father, he definitely didn't dare to disobey his sister's words. He knew his own sister's personality very well. Ruan Qingshuang's heart that was in her throat finally relaxed. Then let's leave Nanjiang now. Ruan Chao was unwilling. He had waited for so many years for an opportunity to take revenge, but now he missed it because of his sister. He was unwilling. Other than being unwilling, he was still unwilling. The three of them walked out of the canning factory that had long since declared bankruptcy. Jin Kuang had already driven He Dongfeng's wife and children away. Su Yin got into his car. Ruan Qingshuang opened the back door and motioned for Ruan Chao to get in. Ruan Chao wasn't in a hurry to get in. He first opened the lid of the pickup truck's fuel tank, then jumped into the trunk of the pickup truck. He opened a white plastic bucket and began to pour gasoline into the roof and trunk of the pickup truck. The pungent smell of gasoline quickly entered Su Yun's nose. This kid was good. He was already prepared to destroy the evidence. After the bucket of gasoline was poured, Ruan Chao and Ruan Qingshuang got into the car. Su Yun started the car and prepared to leave. Ruan Chao rolled down the window, wiped the lighter, and threw it directly at the pickup truck. Su Yun and this kid had a tacit understanding. They immediately stepped on the accelerator and left. The car drove less than 100 meters away. The pickup truck exploded with a bang, and then fell into a sea of fire. Ruan Chao looked back at the raging fire. The hatred in his heart seemed to be burned away bit by bit with the fire. Ruan Qingshuang knew that he had his troubles in his heart, but she didn't say anything to comfort him. It was very quiet in the car. Su Yun silently drove away from Nanjiang City and headed straight for Xinjiang. He would leave the rest to Jin Kuang. No matter what, he owed Jin Kuang a favor. He didn't know what this shrewd tycoon would ask of him in the future. Chapter 9:16. On the highway to Xinjiang, Jin Kuang called to ask about the situation. Su Yin said that they had already left Nanjiang. Although Jin Kuang knew that they would definitely leave, he didn't expect it to be so soon. He didn't even have time to treat them to a farewell drink. He assured Su Yin that he had already settled He Dongfeng's side. Not only would He Dongfeng not pursue the matter, but his wife and son were also willing to pretend that this matter had never happened. This was for the best. However, Su Yin didn't believe him. He still asked Jin Kuang to tell He Dongfeng that if they really wanted to pursue the matter, it was best to prepare their own escape route as soon as possible. Unless they could hide on the moon, he could find them again to talk about this matter in any corner of the world. Although Su Yun's tone was very calm and indifferent, it had to be said that this was a disguised threat. Su Yun didn't want him to do this, but if he didn't do this, it would be difficult to ensure that He Dongfeng's family would really keep their mouths shut. Su Yin didn't want Ruan Chao to cause trouble for them, and he didn't want them to cause trouble for Ruan Chao even more. He Dongfeng's family was waiting by Jin Kuang's phone. When they heard Su Yun's words, they couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva in panic. After all, in He Dongfeng's eyes, Su Yun was the president of the Taiwan Three Lotus Society, the boss behind the scenes of Xingkai Hotel, and the leader of Sky Entertainment Film and Television Group. Any one of these titles could crush him to death. Jin Kuang repeatedly conveyed He Dongfeng's family's intentions to Su Yun. They definitely wouldn't cause him any trouble in this matter. Jin Kuang also guaranteed that he would definitely satisfy Su Yun. Since Jin Kuang had said so, Su Yun really had no reason to doubt him. After hanging up the phone, Jin Kuang used his own position to put pressure on He Dongfeng. He only needed to tell He Dongfeng that if his involvement with Su Yun was exposed again, He Hongtai, would never cooperate with He Dongfeng's small mine again. This was a warning to cut off He Dongfeng's income. He Dongfeng told him to rest assured. Now, even if he had 20 guts, he wouldn't dare to provoke such an extreme guy again. In order to express his sincerity, He Dongfeng even took the initiative to return the 100,000 yuan to Yuan Chao. Jin Kuang could not help but curse. Who the F***ck cares about your money? After being scolded badly, He Dongfeng didn't dare to say anything. After realizing his mistake, he took out the microwave oven-sized jade Buddha at home, hoping that Jin Kuang could pass it on to Chairman Su and the others on his behalf. After this matter, they would turn hostility into friendship. They were all friends, and it was easy to talk. Only then was Jin Kuang satisfied. He and He Dongfeng were both people who liked to collect antiques. They knew the value of this jade Buddha. He grinned at He Dongfeng. It was worth it to exchange something worth a few million for the lives of his family. Of course, Jin Kuang wouldn't take it for free. He promised De Hongtai to help him earn back this money as soon as possible. After the car drove out of the Shenzhen Expressway, Su Yin yawned. He had only driven the entire night. When they arrived at Shenzhen, it was already 3:30 in the morning. We're staying here? Yuan Chao was stunned for a moment. Soon, he realized that wasn't the case. When the hotel security saw that Director Su's car had returned, they immediately came out to welcome him. They even asked if they should call their security chief, Dan Jiahao. At this time, Su Yin didn't want to disturb the others, so he told the security guard not to inform anyone. He was also sleepy. Now he just wanted to sleep. When the people in the housekeeping department saw Su Yin and Wan Qingshuang, they were also very surprised. This time was really late. Wan Qingshuang also didn't let the people on duty in the housekeeping department not to inform anyone. Just prepare 3 rooms for them. She just wanted to rest now. As for why 3 rooms, perhaps it was because she was too embarrassed to admit that she and Su Yin had already had sex in front of her brother. So he's so rich. When Yuan Chao said this, there was more or less some disdain. It seemed that he was disdainful of Su Yin, and also seemed to have some opinions about his sister. Yuan Chao's family was poor since he was young. Moreover, Wan Qingshuang almost married a rich person in their mountain village because of a little betrothal gift money. In addition, he was once tricked by the rich He Dongfeng in Nanjiang. So Yuan Chao more or less had a hatred for the rich in his bones. Previously, he didn't know who Su Yin was, but now that he saw him in such a luxurious 5-star hotel, as if he was in his own home, he realized that this brother-in-law of his was really extraordinarily rich. He didn't expect that his sister, who had always been materialistic, would become worldly after a few years of baptism in the city. Yuan Chao felt a little suffocated in his heart, but he couldn't flare up. This feeling was really not good. It made him extremely uncomfortable. It's not what you think. Wan Qingshuang didn't explain much to her brother. She knew that as long as she brought her brother home, his opinion of Su Yin would change. It's getting late. You must be tired. Rest early. Yuan Chao nodded. Seeing that his sister didn't want to say more, he obediently went to his room to rest. This time, Yuan Chao slept very soundly. The appearance of his family gave him great comfort. That was why he could sleep so soundly. Yuan Chao almost couldn't remember when was the last time he slept so soundly. When he woke up, the scorching sun was scorching the earth. Yuan Chao stretched. He went to the bathroom to take a shower, washing away all the tiredness and fatigue in his body. When he walked out of the room, he saw a guy with an unlit cigarette waiting for him at the door. "Brother, how did you sleep?" The guy with the cigarette was none other than Chang. Su Yin and Wan Qingshuang were already in Yi Fala's office. "Who are you?" Yuan Chao asked cautiously. Chang reached out his hand to introduce himself. However, Yuan Chao didn't seem to buy it. Not only did he not shake his hand, he didn't even make a sound. Although he was being ignored, Chang didn't bicker with him. "Let's go. Sister Shuang and Brother Yin are waiting for you. I'll bring you there." Yuan Chao just nodded and followed behind Chang. He still didn't say a word. It wasn't that he didn't want to talk, but he didn't know what to say. The world he was in now was a world he had never come into contact with before. He needed time to adapt. Soon, Chang brought him to Yi Fala's office. Everyone was waiting to see what Sister Shuang's brother looked like. The first thing they saw was the shocking scar on his face. Yuan Chao seemed to be used to people's silent reactions after seeing his scar. He silently walked to his sister's side. Yuan Qingshuang gave him a simple introduction of everyone. Yuan Chao's reaction was only to nod. He didn't like to talk to strangers. Qingshuang, I didn't expect your brother to be an expert. Yi Fala smiled. She only needed to use her strong mental state as a first-class expert to test Yuan Chao's strength. Not bad. Second-class mental state at such a young age. Not simple. Yuan Chao was stunned. He could clearly feel the strength of the woman in front of him. It was said that there was always someone better than you. However, he had never met an expert who was stronger than him. Today he finally saw it. He was at a loss for what to do for a moment. Don't be nervous. We're all on the same side. Su Yin could see his restraint. Your sister Shuang's family, so you're our family. It's better for everyone to open up. Chapter 9:17. Yuan Chao, I know you must have encountered something over the years. Of course, I won't ask you. If you want to talk about it, you will naturally talk to your sister. Su Yin. But no matter what kind of things you encounter, you shouldn't let yourself forget all the past. This is unrealistic. Because you have a family. Do you know how your parents survived all these years? Yuan Chao didn't speak. He knew that although his brother-in-law seemed to be vulnerable in front of him, he was so different from ordinary people. After all, his kick yesterday was enough to break a few ribs of an ordinary person, but Su Yun's body was able to withstand it. Obviously, Su Yun only lost the zhenqi that stimulated his strong state of mind, and his muscle strength was still the same as before. The attack power of a second-rate master was not enough to cause internal injuries to Su Yun. Therefore, although Yuan Chao's kick Su Yun couldn't block it, he definitely wouldn't be seriously injured. I know there are some things you don't want to say now, I can wait. Yuan Qingshuang said lightly. I know far more than you think. Yuan Chao was quite shocked. He realized that the people he was facing knew a lot. Even his sister wasn't surprised by the division of strength in the underground world, which meant that she knew all about it. Dan Jiahao, who wasn't present, suddenly knocked on the door and came in. Seeing so many people, he grinned and didn't greet them one by one. He just said to Yi Fara, Sister Yizi, the 2 copper lions you bought have arrived, but those things are too heavy. It's impossible to place them without a machine. I'll contact the crane. Where do you want the carriage to park the lions? The backyard? Yi Fara bought 2 copper lions more than 10 meters tall, and placed them on both sides of the hotel's main entrance. They replaced the previous 2 5 meters tall stone lions to make Xingkai Hotel look more imposing. This was the first step in her plan to upgrade the hotel. There were many 5-star hotels in Huaxia, especially in a place like Xinjiang. They were everywhere, so she had the idea to build a 6-star hotel in Huaxia. I'm still here. Why do you need a crane? Li Moran patted his chest. I'll go with you. At that time, when he took away the 2 stone lions, Li Moran had shown everyone his terrifying strength, but Dan Jiahao still didn't believe that he could move the copper lion that was n times heavier than the stone lion. He opened his mouth wide in shock. Brother Ran, you're not joking with me, right? That thing is much heavier than you think. Li Moran confidently went downstairs with Dan Jiahao. Everyone walked to the window and looked at Li Moran's strange strength with surprise. But no matter how surprised everyone was, they were not as surprised as Yuan Chao. Such a tall pure copper lion. Even an expert several times stronger than him would not be able to handle it. Li Moran only asked the porter downstairs to help him use the principle of leverage to remove the rope to control the balance of the copper lion. Then he began to move and hold the copper lion bit by bit. Just looking at it was thrilling. Such a big copper lion was enough to crush a person into a meat patty. Little Northeast had sharp eyes and quick hands. When he saw that the rope was not properly handled, he directly opened the window and slipped downstairs along the edge of the window. He quickly climbed to the top of the copper lion, rehandled the rope, and then jumped down with a somersault. One of them had a strange strength comparable to the King Kong gourd, and the other was as agile as the wind like an elf. The onlookers were amazed. It took about half an hour for the two of them to set up the copper lion. Even Lee Moran had to wipe the sweat from his forehead. These two big guys were really heavy. He had never encountered such heavy things before. In this half an hour, Yuan Chao was deeply aware of his own insignificance. What kind of guys are these? More importantly, these guys actually bowed their heads to Su Yun and called him Big Brother Yin. They called him Big Brother Yin with great respect. This made Yuan Chao curious about Su Yun. He couldn't figure out what kind of person Su Yun was. During this time, Lin Ge, who was far away in the Caribbean Sea, didn't stay idle. After introducing Fang Ye to the old man and the others, he explained the purpose of his return this time. Obviously, evil god Lu Xuanji was also very surprised after learning about Su Yun's situation. However, they were able to get the seeds of the qi consolidating grass, which really made the old man very pleased. Although Lu Xuanji didn't have direct contact with Huang Fugua, he still tried his best to use his network of contacts to find out about Huang Fugua's whereabouts. This would take time. Lin Ge knew without the old man saying anything. Therefore, during the 2 days of waiting, Lin Ge took Fang Ye to the nearby picturesque islands and ate all the Caribbean cuisine. Lin Ge said that this was where he grew up. Fang Ye didn't believe him at first. Later, she saw that Lin Ge had acquaintances everywhere, and they had good relationships. From the security officers on the island to the old aunties who sold fruits on the street, his acquaintances were everywhere. Lin Ji's charm increased again, and Fang Ye realized that she couldn't leave this man. His hard work paid off. Although the old man was old, he was Lu Xuanji after all. With his connections, he finally found out where Huang Fugua was staying. This profound sky expert who valued health and was full of love for Huaxia, of course, chose the most suitable place for retirement in Huaxia, the South Island. After receiving the news, Lin Ge knew that his trip to the Caribbean Sea was coming to an end. Although it was a short time, his body and mind were quite relaxed. He immediately called Su Yun and told Su Yun the news, asking him to wait for him to fly back, and then go to the South Island together. After the two copper lions were placed, Su Yun received a call from Lin Ge. After listening to Lin Ji's news, he slightly changed Lin Ji's arrangement. You don't have to go back to the mainland. We'll meet directly at the South Island. The journey is about the same. Let me know when you book the ticket. I'll be ready to leave immediately. When everyone heard Su Yun hang up the phone, they realized that the turn of events had come. I talked to Mei Yin on the phone. She said that the qi consolidating grass is in full bloom. Wan Qingshuang said. She didn't tell Su Yun about these things before. She was worried that if she told him, Su Yun would be anxious and not be able to find the person they were looking for. But now it seemed that Lin Ge had found a clue. Su Yun was quite excited about this news. Since that was the case, everything was ready except for the east wind. Su Yun immediately called Zhuo Meiyan and asked her to send the qi consolidating grass over by express delivery. But how could Zhuo Meiyan dare to send such an important thing by express delivery? She arranged the things in her hands to Zhuo Yeming, and then personally asked Wang Zhe to drive to Shenzhen with the qi consolidating grass. Because Su Yun didn't want anyone to interfere in this matter, no one clamored to go with him. Although Ruan Qingshuang wanted to accompany Su Yun, she knew very well that Su Yun wouldn't agree, so she didn't want to waste time. As soon as Su Yun left, she would immediately take Ruan Chao home to visit her parents. She wanted Ruan Chao to understand Su Yun through various things. Because her body and mind belonged to this man, she must let her brother understand and respect him. This was the first thing Ruan Qingshuang had to do now. Chapter 9:18. Nanhai Island was definitely the most suitable city for humans to live in the entire Huaxia. Compared with metropolises such as Yanjing and Xinjiang, the air quality of Nanhai Island was simply like heaven. Although it couldn't be compared with some holy places such as natural oxygen bars abroad, at least people didn't need to worry about exceeding the PM index when they went out. They also didn't need to wear masks even when driving, and calculate that their chances of honorable lung cancer would increase by a few 10,000ths. One thing to admit was that since Huaxia's reform and opening up, in just a few decades, some families in Huaxia who had gone from being poor to being unable to afford to eat rice and vegetables were moving towards the peak in glory step by step. They were no longer short of food and clothing, and even had a lot of money with nowhere to spend. They were afraid that the saddest thing in life, death, no money to spend, would happen to them. They hurriedly escaped from metropolises such as Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou that made them rich, and settled down in a place that was suitable for recuperation, and dared to breathe the air. As a result, the living environment of Nanhai Island was no longer as comfortable as it was 10 years ago. All kinds of high-displacement luxury cars appeared one after another. Some people in Huaxia who wanted to get rich first repeated their means of destroying the living environment, once again destroying this beautiful island. But many people were simply unaware of what they had done. This was the tragedy of some human beings. For some reason, although the people of Huaxia were great, they were still the people in the world who didn't know how to pay attention to environmental protection. This had a lot to do with the poverty of the past. Knowledge determined a person's personal behavior, and it also determined the behavior of a region and a country. Suyin walked out of the airport, took a deep breath, and enjoyed the clear blue sky and white clouds. He really hoped that the next generation and the descendants of Huaxia could be aware of the environmental problems of Huaxia. He didn't want this country to become a huge graveyard one day. The earth was a paradise for human beings to survive, and it really couldn't withstand the destruction and cruelty of generations. Fortunately, Huang Fuguo's feelings for Huaxia were too deep. Otherwise, with his mentality, he would have migrated to a more suitable place for human beings to live. Nanhai Island, one of the few remaining hazy cities in Huaxia. He really hoped that it could continue like this. "Brother, you're finally here." Lin Ji's call made Suyin stop in his tracks. Suyin turned his head, and was really quite surprised because not only did he see Lin Ge, but he also saw the beautiful flight attendant, Fangya. The two of them were actually together. Phew, Lin Ge, this brat, was really something. He didn't forget to fall in love even when he was dealing with serious matters. This child was worth teaching. "Since you two have met, it's time for me to say goodbye," Fangya said. She flew back to Nanhai Island with Lin Ge, and then transferred to a flight back to Xinjiang. Suyin only found out about this later. If he had known earlier, he would have let Lin Ge fly back to Xinjiang and come with him. Leaving so soon, Suyin didn't know that she went to the Caribbean islands with Lin Ge. Fangya nodded generously. "Yes, I have to go back to work. Maybe when you go back, you will take my flight." Lin Ge sighed in his heart. This was fate, but he didn't say anything. He sent Fangya to the waiting room with gentle eyes. Her flight back to Xinjiang was about to take off soon. She didn't have time to delay. After Fangya left, Lin Ge took out an address written on a note for Suyin. In order to find this place, Lu Xuanji spent a lot of effort and used a lot of favors. His only hope was that these two brats really had the ability to persuade Huang Fuguo to refine medicine for him. He couldn't help with this matter. It wasn't that he didn't want to give up his old face to help Suyin, but his old face really didn't have any face in front of Huang Fuguo. This was the thing that gave Lu Xuanji a headache. Even his old face might not give face, let alone these two brats. He really didn't have any confidence in this matter. However, Suyin, this brat, had been blessed since he was young. Lu Xuanji believed that maybe a miracle would happen. Maybe Huang Fuguo would feel that Suyin was fated when he saw him. Then the rest of the matter would be much easier. Unfortunately, this was all wishful thinking on Lu Xuanji's part. Suyin and Lin Ge were facing a cold face. This was already the third day that Suyin and Lin Ge waited in front of this address. The owner of the room still didn't want to be disturbed, and didn't come out to see them at all. Huang Fuguo had long wanted to lose the title of one of the three kings, but no one had the ability to replace him in these years. However, this didn't affect his carefree life. He lived on a stone mountain on a bay. The three-story building made of pure wood was comfortable and pleasant. He didn't have any servants or subordinates. He was the only person in the entire residence. He didn't want to be disturbed by anyone. If someone wanted to disturb his dreams, he would definitely not be merciful. Of course, there were some people who needed his help. As long as he insisted on not going out and not receiving them for 2 days, those people would naturally leave disheartened. Anyway, those who needed his help were in awe of him and didn't dare to be disrespectful to him. However, the two brats he met this time were very stubborn. He hadn't seen them for 3 days, but they were still waiting at the door. If Huang Fugua still had ingredients in the kitchen that could make soft cakes, he would definitely continue to let these two brats wait outside the door. But now, Huang Fugua had to go out to buy some food. He could stay at home for 3 days and concentrate on raising the flowers and feeding the koi, but he couldn't not eat. Huang Fugua, who was determined to maintain his health, knew very well how important it was for a person to have a regular work and rest schedule and eat on time. Therefore, in the end, he couldn't endure the two brats waiting outside the door. He opened the door with his electric scooter. Without waiting for Su Yun and Lin Ge to surround him, Huang Fugua spoke first. If you want me to help you with anything, then first learn to respect me. Right now, I only want to go out and buy things. I don't want to talk to anyone else, understand? Huang Fugua, this was the Sky Profound Realm expert who was known as one of the 3 kings. The most important thing is to care about the Sky Profound Realm. His perfect state of mind exuded an irresistible aura. This kind of aura of a monarch overlooking the world was something that Su Yin and Lin Ge couldn't resist. They knew very well that if Huang Fugua said so, then anything they did would be futile, and would even be disliked. Lin Ge originally wanted to say something, but Su Yin gestured for him to move aside, allowing Huang Fugua to leisurely drive the electric scooter away. Because there were 2 brats with good aptitudes guarding the door, Huang Fugua didn't even lock the door. This saved him a lot of trouble. It was hard to tell whether this old man was 50, 60, or 70 years old. What was he thinking? Su Yin and Lin Ge couldn't figure it out, but they had no choice. They could only rely on his kindness. No matter what, even if they were treated coldly, at least they met Huang Fugua face to face. Old Master Huang Fu, don't worry. We'll take care of the house. There definitely won't be any problems. Su Yin said confidently to Huang Fugua's back. Chapter 919. Lin Ge looked at Su Yin in confusion. After a while he finally voiced out his doubts. Brother, I'm starting to wonder if my old man made a mistake. This guy, is he really Huang Fugua? He can't just be a substitute, right? Look, what's the difference between him and an ordinary middle-aged man? He drives a car and goes out to buy groceries. I really can't believe that one of the 3 kings actually lives like this. Yes, this was different from what Su Yin had imagined. The supreme expert of the underground world actually lived alone in the South China Sea. Not to mention the protection of his subordinates and servants. He didn't even have anyone to cook or buy groceries by his side. Was this really one of the 3 kings, Huang Fugua? Was this really the guy who could move the underground world with just a sneeze? Anyone who saw this would have doubts in their heart. It wasn't just Su Yun and Lin Ge who had doubts. But what could they do now that things had come to this? Stop him and ask him if he was telling the truth? Doing so would undoubtedly cause trouble for themselves. If they guessed right, they wouldn't get any benefits. If they were wrong, they would even make the other party furious. After all, Su Yin had a favor to ask, so he could only compromise. The 2 of them waited like a year. Time was like a drunkard, walking slower and slower. Su Yin waited until the sky darkened before he saw the old man's car slowly drive back. Lin Ge couldn't help but chuckle. He wasn't laughing at others but at himself. Who would believe that Huang Fugua was driving an old car? Sigh, he really suspected that he had entered a fantasy world. Everything was so illusory and ethereal. He would be the first to not believe that the person in front of him was Huang Fugua. However, Su Yin didn't say anything. Lin Ge could only stand aside obediently and wait for the result. The old man's car slowly drove in front of the 2 of them. Huang Fugua stopped the car and rolled down the window. He pouted his lips and said to the 2 of them, "A few bad boys saw that I was generous and followed me all the way here. If you are really sincere, then settle this matter for me." All right. Su Yin nodded and followed Huang Fuguai's path. 4 hooligans on 3 motorcycles slowly tailed them. Lin Ge couldn't take it anymore. Brother, this old man can't even handle a few hooligans, and you still believe that he's Huang Fugua? Su Yin had the same doubts, but he had no choice. Before he could be sure, he would try his best to satisfy the old man. This was related to the refining of the qi consolidating pill. Su Yin really needed to consolidate his qi meridians. From the first time you met me, I told you that you found the wrong person. Huang Fuguo was still angry. Why don't you leave? Why do you insist that I'm the person you're looking for? Now that the old lady is in danger, you think you've found the wrong person. Young man, you can't be so deceptive. Lin Gu was checkmated instead. He was speechless. This old man was right. The 4 hooligans had already arrived in front of them. These old men and women who came out alone to buy daily necessities were their new targets. Most of these old men and women who came out alone lived alone. Their wives died, and their children were not by their side. Their families had some money, so they came to Nanhai Island to retire. When these hooligans saw Huang Fugu was generous spending and casually sold things for a few thousand yuan, they were sure that this old man's family must have some foundation. They wouldn't rob him openly. They would use flowery words to trick the old man into following them into his house and steal some valuable things to sell. Last time, they tricked an old lady into entering her house. One chatted with her, one poured tea for her, another swept and mopped the floor, and the last one rummaged through the old lady's drawers and took out all the gold and silver jewelry that the old lady had spent a lifetime with. Today's account had been spent. They had to concoct a new plan. And Huang Fuguo was the rich old man they targeted. Sir, do you live alone? Is there anything we can help you with? The 4 of them walked forward and looked at Su Yun and Lin Gu warily. The leader of the group said, You're old, so it must be inconvenient for you to move around. You live alone in such a big place. It must be troublesome to clean, right? We're from the Association of Elderly Volunteers. We'll do housework for you for free. Association of Elderly Volunteers? This is the first time I've heard of it. Lin Gu said disdainfully. What kind of idiot would come up with such a ridiculous name for an organization? These 4 unemployed youths were simply trying to show off their low IQ. Hearing someone speak against them, the 4 hooligans were obviously unhappy. The strongest guy glared at Lin Gu and said, Of course you haven't heard of it. Our association is full of caring young people. I see you 2 sneaking around. What are you doing in front of the old lady's house? Could it be a burglar? Do you believe I'll call the police? Do you want me to call the police for you? Su Yun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. A few lowly hooligans actually used such a trick. After Su Yun finished speaking, she took out her phone. Are you sure the police will arrest us and not you when they come? The leader's mouth twitched and he said coldly, Then who are you 2? If I say we're in the same industry, would you believe me? Su Yun raised his eyebrows provocatively. Have you heard of the saying that people in the same industry are enemies? Su Yun nodded. Of course I have. Since we're enemies, what are we waiting for? Let's do it. Wait a minute. The leader of the ruffians hurriedly said. As he stopped his 3 brothers who were ready to move, he said to Huang Fuguo, Old man, I'm different from them. Don't worry with me here. I won't let these 2 brats succeed. I'm sincerely learning from Lei Feng as an example. Su Yun shook his head and sighed. Can you not insult the name Lei Feng? I'll kill you. The leader of the hooligans explained to Huang Fuguo, and was the first to pounce on Su Yun. Although it was easy for Su Yun to deal with these hooligans, Lin Gu didn't need Su Yun to make a move. Su Yun just took a step back and gave Lin Gu space to dodge. Lin Gu single-handedly threw the 4 ruffians to the ground with a few punches and kicks. The gap in strength couldn't be filled. The 4 hooligans were either holding their crotch and crying, or holding their heads between their legs. One word: miserable. Get lost. The next time you follow me, it won't be so simple. Huang Fuguo snorted at the 4 hooligans, as if he had already arranged this scene. After the 4 hooligans scurried away, Lin Gu couldn't help but doubt the old man's identity. Why would the great Huang Fuguo need them to help him deal with a few hooligans? Just the pressure of a profound Sky Realm expert's aura would be enough to make those 4 crazy. Old Master Huangfu, your test for us should be about done, right? Can you let us in now? Su Yun said respectfully. This junior really has something very important that I need your help with. I hope you can give me a chance. Huang Fuguo sized up Su Yun and suddenly said, You're that Yan Long who was trained by Wan Guangxiao's subordinate, Wang Yi, right? Su Yun was startled. Huang Fuguo actually mentioned the name of their Dragon Brigade's captain, Wan Guangxiao. How did you know? Su Yun couldn't help but frown. He hadn't contacted anyone from the Dragon Brigade recently. I just know, Huang Fugua said. You two seem to have some loyalty. Come in with me. Chapter 920. Huang Fugua's house was very big. It was made of pure wood, and such an exquisite building was definitely not something an ordinary person could afford to live in. Based on this point, it also showed his noble status. Although the two of them were rejected by this old man for 3 whole days, once they entered this room, they had no complaints at all. Suyin was ready to get straight to the point. He didn't come here to visit the old man on vacation. Old Master Huang Fui, if you came here just to admire and visit me, I welcome you. I can even let you stay to try my cooking. Huang Fugua rudely interrupted Su Yun's words. If you want me to do something for you, then I'm sorry. Although I didn't make a big fuss about my retirement, it also shows that I will no longer participate in any disputes of the underground world. I'm a very principled person, so you don't have to continue. What else could Su Yun say? Huang Fugua was indeed serious. From his expression and tone, Su Yun could completely read the meaning in his words that could not be disobeyed. Lin Ge didn't care so much. They went through so much trouble to get the qi consolidating grass, and spent so much effort to find this place. How could they give up just because of a sentence? Old Master Huangfu, we don't mean to involve you in the disputes of the underground forces. We just want to ask you to help my brother refine a pill. Didn't you hear what I said? Don't tell me the disciples taught by Old Master Lu didn't learn language? Huang Fugua's face darkened. If you don't understand the meaning of retirement, then go home and look it up in the dictionary. I've long forgotten about refining pills and making medicine. You should find someone else. I'm afraid you've come to the wrong place. As he spoke, Huang Fugua shook his head and said with some disappointment, I thought you two brats knew the ways of the world. Now it seems that you're only at this level. You can't have dinner. I'm old, so I won't see you off. After a few words, Huang Fugua directly asked them to leave. This really caught Su Yin and Lin Ge off guard. This person changed his face faster than flipping a book. He didn't give them a chance to explain. No matter what, they had helped him deal with a few ruffians at the entrance, right? Although in Huang Fugua's eyes, these little ruffians were like ants. Old Master Huangfu, you can't be so casual. As the saying goes, isn't it a joy to have friends from afar? Although we juniors don't deserve your hospitality, there's no need to chase us away, Lin Ge said angrily. If we weren't at the end of our rope, we wouldn't have come looking for you. Huang Fugua didn't expect that this kid would dare to talk back to him. He looked back and smiled. Then how do you want me to be unhappy? I'll make you whatever you want from me again. Ha 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 kid, you're too naive. There are many alchemists in this world. There are always mountains beyond mountains and people beyond people. It's not like there aren't any people more powerful than my Huangfu country. You'd better look for someone else. It's the energy consolidating pill. Only you can refine this. Su Yin met Huang Fugua's gaze and explained his intentions. Huang Fugua was startled at first, but then his expression quickly changed to one of astonishment. Qi consolidating pill. No wonder I couldn't feel anything from your body. So you've been crippled by someone. I'm a bit curious. Just who did this to you? Lung Chun. Su Yin didn't hide anything. Huang Fugua sucked in a cold breath. Isn't that wildly ambitious guy already dead? Oh, I get it. Kid, you're really worthy of being from Wan's army. Even Lung Chun was dealt with. Haha, well done. That guy Lung Chun should be taught a lesson. Without that piece of rat shit, the underground world will be much more peaceful. When Su Yun heard that Huang Fugua also disliked Lung Chun, he let out a sigh of relief. Lin Ge said excitedly, Old Master Huangfu, since you also hate Lung Chun so much, and that person was killed by my brother, can you give us a way out and help us? My brother was heavily injured by Lung Chun, so he lost his true qi. We can only beg you for help. There's really no other way. Huang Fugua didn't strike while the iron was hot. Lung Chun's death has nothing to do with me. I've already washed my hands of it. No matter how much that guy messes up the underground world, it has nothing to do with me. So I still have no obligation to help you. Kid, if you still want me to politely send you off, Then don't mention this again. Even if you kick us out, I'll still say it, Su Yin said. Because this is the only thing I came here for. Although I don't know what the relationship between Old Master Huangfu and our Wan leader is, I still hope that you can give him face and help me. Huang Fuguo laughed and lay comfortably on the sofa. If you knew what relationship I had with Wan Guangxiao, then you wouldn't dare to come to me. What did he mean? Su Yin was stunned. Wan and I can never pee into the same pot. Huang Fuguo said seriously. He's a pillar of the country and I'm a wild crane. You don't think we're friends, do you? Su Yin was stunned. He didn't need Huang Fuguo to say it too clearly. He realized that not only did Wan Guangxiao and Huang Fuguo have no relationship, but there must be some kind of conflict between them. If he made the wrong connection, Huang Fuguo would probably not let go. Then what will it take for you to help my brother? Lin Gu was a little agitated. It wasn't easy to find this place, but the other party had this kind of attitude. He couldn't accept it. As long as you agree to help, even if you ask me to climb a mountain of swords or dive into a sea of fire, I won't even blink. The disciples taught by Old Master Lu are really the same as him. Huang Fuguo looked at Lin Gu without any expression on his face. I don't need your help with anything, so whether you climb a mountain of swords or dive into a sea of fire, it has nothing to do with me. Do you understand, kid? Su Yin suddenly stood up. It seems that Senior Huangfu has made up his mind. Then I won't disturb you. Brother. Lin Gu didn't want to give up. Huang Fuguo didn't know why, but when he saw Su Yun's unswerving determination, he actually felt some shock in his heart. This kid really has guts. You can't blame me for this matter. Huang Fuguo seemed to be a little relaxed. I'm the only one who can refine the qi consolidating pill, but there's a prerequisite. It needs the qi consolidating grass. You may not know this, but although the qi consolidating grass isn't a rare herb, it has already been seized by a trader from Dongying. There's no such plant in the world anymore, only the seeds are controlled. Su Yin took out the leaves of the qi consolidating grass in a sealed bag and placed it in front of Huang Fuguo. Senior Huangfu, if you're determined not to help me, then there's no use for me to keep this. It's better to give it to you as a souvenir. Huang Fuguo's expression changed when he saw the leaves of the qi consolidating grass. He had experienced all kinds of things in his life, but this kid really surprised him. Where did he get the qi consolidating grass? Chapter 921. Huang Fuguo was silent for a long time before he said, Where did you get this qi consolidating grass? Like you said, we know that the qi consolidating grass is extinct. It's being controlled by a trader. Su Yin. As long as we find that trader, it won't be difficult to get the seed. How is that possible? Even if your strength returns to normal, you can't beat Muto Ichiro. No matter how weak he is, he's still one of the 7 kings. Huang Fuguo. Even that Wang Yi who trained you under Wan Guangxiao might not be able to beat him one-on-one, let alone you. I don't believe that Wan Guangxiao would personally help you solve this problem. Su Yin nodded. Indeed, it has nothing to do with Wan leader. I was expelled from the army long ago. Now I'm just like you, a wild crane. The army has no obligation to do anything for me. I can only rely on myself to solve my own problems. You brat, I really have to look at you in a new light. Just now, when you said that you killed Leng Chun, I really didn't believe it, but now that you've even taken care of Muto Ichiro, I really have no choice but to believe it. Huang Fuguo exclaimed. Just how far have you reached? Senior Huangfu, I really can't kill Muto Ichiro. If I had the strength, I definitely wouldn't have let him go. Su Yin. As for Leng Chun, I can only say it was luck. I know the difference in strength between me and them. Maybe you don't believe me, but this is the truth. Huang Fuguo narrowed his eyes. So Muto Ichiro isn't dead? Then how did you get the qi consolidating grass seed? As far as I know, the Muto family values this thing more than their own lives. Su Yin thought for a moment, then said bluntly, by chance. By chance? Huang Fuguo didn't react for a while. This guy changed the word steal to a nicer one. Talent, he really is a talent. Senior Huangfu, now that we have the qi consolidating grass, can you agree to help us? Lin Gu said impatiently. We really need you to take action. As long as you take action, no matter how big the problem is, it won't be a problem. Please, old Master Huangfu, I beg you, please help my brother. Huang Fugua couldn't bear to look at Lin Go and answered with one word, no. At this moment, the door was pushed open, and a figure rushed in. He knelt down in front of Huang Fugua and said sincerely, Master, please help them. Although you have retired, you can still guide me. If I complete this task, I will not go against your principles. After Su Yun and Lin Go left, Ruan Qingshuang put down everything she was doing and brought Ruan Chao back to her hometown. Ruan Chao was uneasy the whole way. He didn't know how his parents would feel after he saw them. He couldn't imagine how heavy his parents' hearts must have been during his absence. Perhaps the further he was away from home, the more he didn't dare to come back. But when he was really close to his hometown, he suddenly realized how eager he was to return to his parents' side. Sometimes, people were like this. The further they were away, the more afraid they were of going home. Only the smell of the hometown could break this knot. Chang drove the hotel's newly equipped commercial car to send the two of them here. When the villagers saw this extraordinary white big van, they knew it must be coming to old Ruan's house. Since their Qingshuang came back, all kinds of luxury cars often came to old Ruan's house. The villagers only knew that there was a four-circle car called D, and a triangular car called Benchi. They were all coming to old Ruan's house. Compared to those cars, although this white car was stylish, it was still a big van, in the eyes of the villagers. The village head son, who was admitted to a junior college in Yanjing, told the villagers that this was called Alpha, a high-end commercial car produced by the world's largest Toyota car company. 700,000 miles. It was not cheaper than the four-circle Fai 6. The villagers suddenly realized that the eldest daughter of the Ruan family was really capable. A big van was worth so much money. Ever since Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang returned home, the two of them had the idea of building a new house for the old people. They knew very well that the old people who were rooted in the mountain village would not move to the big city with them. They liked to live in their hometown where they were born and raised. Later, Su Yun told Lu Feng about this. Lu Feng had contracted dozens of buildings in the community before. Not to mention building a house in the village. If I want to cover it, I'll cover it beautifully. Lu Feng let Chang and the rest worry about the hotel. He directly devoted himself to building a villa for old Ruan and his wife. Building a house in the village had to be approved by the branch secretary. But Lu Feng didn't care about this. He directly occupied a large piece of land. Whether the branch secretary was willing or not, he brought more than 20 brothers with dragon and tiger tattoos to stand in front of the branch secretary's house. This matter was as simple as going to the fields to pee. They didn't lack money, so they didn't lack manpower or materials. A 3-story luxurious villa was directly built in the mountain village. Lu Feng also gave it a Gothic style. After the house was built, he immediately mobilized the renovation team. More than 30 workers were busy. In order to let the old people live in the new house as soon as possible, they worked 14 hours a day. The entire villa, from building to renovating, took 4 months. The efficiency was shockingly high. Ruan Qingshuang was also relieved to leave this matter to Lu Feng. Because she was busy, she didn't have time to come back and take a look. 2 weeks ago, Lu Feng reported that everything was done. The old people were very satisfied. This time, even Ruan Qingshuang didn't dare to recognize her home, let alone Ruan Chaolei, who was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Was this still a home? It was simply a small palace. Chang bought all the home appliances 2 weeks ago, and personally brought people from the home appliance company to deliver them. He also taught the two old people how to use them, so he was obviously not that surprised. Seeing Ruan Qingshuang's satisfied and almost excited expression, it proved that Lu Feng's work was done at the peak of perfection. This is our home? Ruan Chao swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva. He couldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. Not to mention that no one in the village could compete with such a luxurious villa. In the entire Huaxia village, there was absolutely no other family with such a luxurious villa. What was the difference between this villa and those luxurious villas of the rich? It was even better than theirs. In the eyes of the children in the village, This house was definitely a big castle. Living in the mountain village for a long time, no one was used to closing the door. So even if old Ruan's family was already very rich, the door of the castle was still wide open. Chang directly drove the car in. The two purebred German Shepherd puppies that Dan Hongning bought for old Ruan's family wagged their tails and rushed over. They barked at the people who got out of the car. "Little Blackie, White Hoof, don't you recognize your brother?" Chang boasted. Of course, the two dogs' names were given by old Ruan and his wife. If it was the young people who gave the dogs the names, they would definitely bark more westernly. Hearing the dogs barking, old Ruan and his wife came out. Their living room was now like a movie theater. Because the TV was 70 inches, it was twice as big as the 38 inches color TV in the secretary's house. Usually, there would always be neighbors who would bring a stool to old Ruan's house to watch a movie. As for why they brought a stool, it was because they didn't dare to sit on old Ruan's expensive leather and wood sofa that was said to be worth more than 300,000 yuan. Not to mention breaking it, even if it was dirted, they couldn't afford to pay for it. Now old Ruan and his wife were treated like superstars in their village. Everyone who saw them would nod their heads and bow their heads. Even if the secretary met old Ruan on the street, he would respectfully take out a Yushi brand cigarette from his pocket and hand it over. One must know that he had 2 packs of cigarettes in his pocket. This Yushi brand was prepared for the city leaders who went to the countryside for inspection. He usually smoked those 4 yuan per pack. Chapter 922. The neighbors who were watching the movie at old Ruan's house saw the distinguished guests and immediately moved their stool to leave. They knew that these capable people must have come for business. Although they were bumpkins from the mountain village, they also knew what was called the ways of the world. When Ruan Qingshuang got out of the car, she saw the neighbors and greeted them. At this time, the neighbors knew that not only did the guests come, but it turned out that the daughter who brought glory to old Ruan's ancestors had returned. No wonder it was said that a daughter was a blessing. Those old feudalists who only wanted a son no matter what. How did they feel at this moment? When old Ruan and his wife saw that their daughter had returned, their faces were radiant and full of smiles. They smiled so much that their eyes could not open. They had been poor for most of their lives and had never thought of any opportunities to bring glory to their ancestors. All of this was brought to them by their daughter. If their daughter had not been so capable outside, who would have brought so many people to build a house for their family? Who would have come to decorate the house like a palace and have all kinds of high-tech products? They had never even heard of the word decoration before. All of these things that their daughter had done to bring glory to their ancestors had also suppressed most of their pain of losing a child. Ruan Qingshuang looked at her home in disbelief. It was like a dream. She knew very well that all of this was because of Su Yun. If it were not for Su Yun, who knew where she would still be selling medicinal cuisine, she did not even dare to dream of such a big villa that could not be bought without several million yuan. Your mother has been talking about you for several days, ha ha ha. Old Ruan looked 10 years younger than half a year ago. He looked back at his wife and said, "See, I came back while talking. Our daughter is busy with her career outside. You don't dare to keep her and not let her go." "It's fine. She just came back to take a look. She hasn't seen such a big house yet." Mother Ruan excitedly held her daughter's hand. After Ruan Qingshuang greeted the 2 elders, she found that her brother had not gotten out of the car yet. She realized that this was indeed a suffocating reunion. Chang tactfully summoned Blackie and Whitehoof to a corner of the courtyard to play. He didn't want to disturb the reunion of the family. In a while, the 2 elders would probably cry their eyes out. "Dadma." Ruan Qingshuang looked at the car door and said calmly, "Little Chow is back." Little Chow is back. Old Ruan's uncontrollable smile suddenly froze. Mother Ruan's mouth was wide open, and she found it difficult to breathe. How many years had it been? They had never heard the name Little Chow. But today their daughter actually. Old Ruan tried his best to calm himself down. He suspected that he had been living too well recently, that he was hallucinating. Their son had long died. Which Little Chow? Mother Ruan couldn't believe it either. Although Ruan Qingshuang understood her parents' psychology, she still didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Dad, Mom, How many Xiao Qiao do we have in our family? At this time, Ruan Qiao could no longer control his emotions. He got out of the car and fell to his knees in front of the two elders. Your son is unfilial. Before he finished speaking, the tears on his face had already covered the shocking scar. Wan Qingshuang's nose turned sour. She couldn't help but turn her head away. She didn't dare to look at her parents and brother. Wan Qingshuang's tears were happy. The reunion of the whole family was such a distant thing for her, but today, it had come true. Su Yin, the man she loved deeply. What reason did she have not to love him? He gave her hope, gave her everything, everything in life. Old Ruan and Old Ruan hugged their son, and almost fainted from crying. The scene of their son coming home was something they had dreamed of countless times. Every time, they would wake up crying. But today, they let their tears flow freely from their eyes, because they knew that this time, they didn't have to worry about waking up from crying. Little Hay and White Hoof looked at everything at a loss. They just wanted to bark and ask about the situation, but Chong held their heads with both hands. The family is reunited. You two don't interfere. The Ruan family will be your masters in the future. Do you understand? The two German shepherds of pure breeds wagged their tails at Xiangzi, as if they really understood what Xiangzi said. Dogs were intelligent. Not to mention this German shepherd, which was as smart as a demon. Even a small dog on the street was sensible. Chong knew that the family needed time to open their hearts and talk, so he lit a cigarette and continued to play with the two puppies in the yard. They hadn't seen each other for so many years. There were so many things they wanted to say, but they couldn't. Old Ruan and Old Ruan didn't ask, and they didn't dare to imagine how much their son had suffered over the years. The scars on his body were enough for them to cry for 3 days and 3 nights. Wan Qingshuang persuaded. Dad, Mom, little Chow, it's a happy thing for our family to reunite. Don't cry. Otherwise, the neighbors will think that something happened to our family. Our family's bitterness is over. You two just wait to enjoy your happiness. Little Chow and I will be filial to you. Yes, yes. Don't cry. Don't cry. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Old Ruan's request for his son was simple. It was good that he was back. Ruan Chow was still kneeling on the ground. He felt guilty and blamed himself. He had grown up. Other than making his family sad and worried, he didn't give his parents anything in return. But at the same time he rejoiced. He rejoiced that his sister had brought everything he wanted to show filial piety to his parents. If it weren't for his sister, he really felt that his sin was enough to be cut into pieces. Filial piety was the foundation of human beings. If he was unfilial, then he wouldn't even be considered human. Ruan Chao's heart was filled with self-blame. He was grateful that God allowed him to meet his sister in Nanjiang. Otherwise, he wouldn't have returned here in this lifetime. He would have lived a life of escape and hiding. He would have to live in the dark side of the underground world for the rest of his life. Of course, other than his sister, he was even more grateful to another person, Su Yin. Clearly, Ruan Chao knew very well that with his sister's ability, no matter how outstanding she was, it was impossible for her to make their family become like this. Everything was brought to him by that brother-in-law. Everything was brought to the Ruan family by Su Yin. Su Yin was the Ruan family's benefactor. He would be their benefactor for life. The happiness that was mixed with tears and sorrow turned into the joy of a family reunion as the tears were wiped away. Mother Ruan ran to the kitchen and busied herself. Ruan Qingshuang also helped from the side. Old Ruan took out the wine and made arrangements with his son to bring Chong to the VIP seat. How could Chong sit there? He insisted that Old Ruan sit down while he sat to the side. Chong's mission was to be a good driver and supporting role. In such a big house, there was no lack of guest rooms. If he wanted to drink, so be it. After all, he wasn't in a hurry to leave. When the dishes were served, Old Ruan began to pull Chong to drink together. Although Chong had already decided that he could drink, he still used his gaze to consult Ruan Qingshuang. Ruan Qingshuang pretended to be angry and said, "You're already in my house. Do you still have to pretend? You're not allowed to leave if you don't drink today. You're not allowed to leave even if you drink. You're staying here. I think Little Blackie and White Hussy really like you." It would have been fine if Ruan Qingshuang didn't say anything. Now that she said it, The two puppies were wagging their tails behind Chang. How could they not be close to Chang? Chang had played with them for quite a while. Chang grinned and didn't stand on ceremony. He first wished them a happy family reunion before downing the wine in one gulp. Chang was also happy. Because the Ruan family was reunited, Sister Shuang was happy. If Sister Shuang was happy, Brother Yin was happy. If Brother Yin was happy, then of course he was happy too. Today he would not go home until he was drunk. He would drink with Mr. Ruan to his heart's content. Chapter 923. Some time ago, when Xiangzi was free, he went to a big temple in Xinjiang to worship Buddha, mainly to pray that Buddha would bless the health of his parents at home. Although he had left the small county on the east side of the river to live in the metropolis of Xinjiang, his parents were not willing to leave. Like old Ruan and his wife, they did not like to change their environment when they were old. They felt that it was not as comfortable as where they lived. To put it bluntly, the elderly were also afraid of causing trouble for their children. After their adaptability declined, they were unwilling to go far away. Ruan Qingshuang knew that Chang's father had a cerebral thrombosis some time ago. Fortunately, Xiaofei got some fresh crabs that day and sent a few to the old man. He saw this scene in time and was rescued in time. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Ruan Qingshuang thought of this when she saw the prayer beads on Chang's wrist. She smiled and said, "I heard that you are preparing to convert to Buddha. Is it true?" Chang put down the wine glass and laughed at himself. Wine and meat pass through the intestines, but Buddha stays in the heart. Then he said to Ruan Qingshuang, "People say that people should have faith. That way, life will be more meaningful. I think I should have faith too. I don't understand the Westerners' God and angels, so I should follow them. I hope that the Buddha Lord can bless everyone around us to be safe and sound." As long as he was safe, Ruan Qingshuang could not help but think of Su Yin. She wondered if he had found the person he was looking for at this moment. Mr. Ruan seemed to have seen through his daughter's thoughts. When they were chatting, they talked about finding Ruan Chao. Su Yin asked a friend to inquire about it. But now that Ruan Chao was home, why didn't Su Yin come with them? Could it be that his daughter had a conflict with him? Or he was in a hurry and could not leave? "Qingshuang, why didn't Su Yin come with you this time?" Mr. Ruan wanted to suppress his curiosity, but in the end he could not control his mouth. After all, he liked that young man too much. If his daughter had a conflict with him, he would definitely criticize her. If it wasn't for Su Yin, would the Ruan family be where they were today? He probably wouldn't have the chance to do so in his next life. "He has something to do," Ruan Qingshuang said. "It's very important, so he doesn't have time to visit you." Old Ruan finally relaxed and nodded. "Oh, so it's like this. A few days ago, Cripple Yang's eldest son from next door gave me a newspaper. He said that you're starting a movie group or something. Su Yin is the boss of that company. He even invited a group of foreigners to model for our Huaxia." "Dad, that's called walking the red carpet. They are all international A-list superstars." Ruan Qingshuang explained. "We spent a lot of money to invite them." Old Ruan didn't think much of it. "What? They only came for a short walk. Do they dare to ask you for 100 or 200,000 yuan?" In his eyes, 100,000 or 200,000 was a sky-high price. Ruan Qingshuang didn't want to tell him. The lowest appearance fee for these big names was a few million. If her father knew, he would definitely say that they were wastrels. "Uncle Ruan, my brother Yun's Sky Entertainment Group paid 2 billion for this event. 100,000 or 200,000 won't even be enough to cover the waiter's salary." Chang drank a lot and couldn't keep his mouth shut. Ruan Qingshuang glanced at him and coughed lightly. Chang suddenly understood and hurriedly said to old Ruan, "Hee, Uncle Ruan, I have a bad habit when I drink too much. I like to brag. Please don't mind. Just treat it as a joke. Ha ha ha, my mother always said that I can't change this habit of mine." Only then did old Ruan let out a sigh of relief. That's right. He must be bragging. 2 billion was not even a concept in the mind of this old man from the mountain village. This number was enough to make him panic and fear. Then everyone's topic began to shift to Su Yin. No matter what, Chang praised his brother Yin for being so amazing. It didn't matter if what he said was true or just bragging. In any case, Su Yun was his idol, his role model. He was the person he wanted to learn from in this life, the next life, and even the life after that. Old Ruan and his wife were full of praise for Su Yun. Su Yun gave their daughter the courage to go home, and asked his friends to help renovate the house. He made the Ruan family the most magnificent family in the entire village. In the past, no one in the village looked up to him. He was already 60 years old, so it didn't matter. He was just afraid that he would embarrass his ancestors. In addition, Ruan Qingshuang and Ruan Chao left one after another. He didn't even have a son or daughter by his side, which made people look down on him even more. However, Su Yun's appearance changed everything. He became the brightest star in the village. Now on the road, who of the same generation dared to not greet him when they saw him? Who of the younger generation dared to not greet him when they saw him? Even people of the younger generation knew that this Grandpa Ruan was amazing. He had a capable son-in-law. Old Ruan knew in his heart that these people who had never left the mountains and had never seen the world hoped that their next generation could leave the mountains and see the world. If his Qingshuang could help them a little, it could change the fate of their family for the rest of their lives. Old Ruan didn't agree to those explicit hints. He knew that he shouldn't cause trouble for his daughter, especially his daughter's relationship with Su Yun. Su Yun's parents hadn't formally proposed marriage to his family, so Old Ruan didn't dare to act rashly. He also didn't stop his daughter from being together with Su Yun. He knew that the young people in the city were open-minded and couldn't be compared to them. However, every time Old Ruan saw the children of the younger generation in the village, he couldn't help but wonder when his daughter could give him a grandson, since he couldn't count on his son. That way he could enjoy a few days of familial happiness while he was still alive. Now his son was suddenly standing in front of him, full of vigor and vitality. Although his face was disfigured by the scar, and there were so many serious injuries on his body, he was still the hope for the continuation of the Ruan family's bloodline. Old Ruan now hoped that Su Yun was here because he wanted to talk to him and ask him to introduce a girl to Ruan Chao. The old man considered many things and never stopped. When there was no news of Ruan Chao, he only hoped that the child would come back. Now that the child was back, his thoughts ran to finding a wife for the child to get married and have children. Although Su Yun didn't come, his daughter was here. She wouldn't watch her brother be a bachelor. After dinner, Old Ruan took advantage of the time when Ruan Chao and Chong were chatting to his daughter, who was washing the dishes, and told her his idea. Ruan Qingshuang felt that her father was being a little too hasty, but she could understand. After all, Ruan Chao was the continuation of the Ruan family's bloodline. The old man felt that everything was worth it to have what he had today. His only wish was to hold a grandson as soon as possible. Everything else was fleeting. Ruan Qingshuang nodded and promised her father that she would talk to Ruan Chao about this matter in the evening. Of course, she would use all her connections to find a partner for Ruan Chao. Family members wouldn't despise each other. Even if Ruan Chao had a scar on his face, they still found him pleasing to the eye. Old Ruan was relieved. With his daughter's current status, his son definitely wouldn't be afraid of not being able to find a wife. If he really couldn't find one in the city, then they just had to shout in the village. Young ladies who were about to get married would come crashing into their house. This was the most convenient shortcut for their family to rise to the top. Chapter 924. It was a little late. The village was not as rich as the city's nightlife. Chong was already drunk and soon fell asleep in the guest room. However, the Ruan family couldn't sleep. The old couple tossed and turned excitedly. It would take 3 to 5 days to calm down. Ruan Chao's dream finally came true. He finally lay on his bed at home again. Ruan Qingshuang couldn't sleep. She knocked on her brother's door and said, "I know you haven't slept yet. I came to talk to you." Ruan Chao sat up and turned on the bedside lamp. "Sister, you came at the right time. I also have something to say to you. Sit down first. I'll get you some water." "No need. I'll get it myself when I'm thirsty." Ruan Qingshuang didn't let her brother busy himself. "Sit down. I want to ask if you have any thoughts about coming back. Mom and Dad are old. Now they only have one wish that hasn't been fulfilled, and that is to have a grandson. I can't help them with this. You have to hurry up. If you need my help, just tell me. Yuan Chao didn't expect his sister to say this to him. He scratched his head. Let's talk about this later. I'm back. Why are you in such a hurry? Yuan Qingshuang thought about it. Anyway, her brother was back. He needed some time to adjust so that he could better adapt to his new life. As for finding a girlfriend, it was better to wait for a while. I won't rush you, but you have to be careful. If there's a suitable one. Sister, when did you become so naggy like mom? Hee, I'll take care of my own business. Yuan Chao said. Mom and dad are now envious of the third generation. If you can let them have a grandson first, I can relax for a while. Yuan Qingshuang glared at him. This brat had actually kicked the ball to her. Mind your own business before talking about me. Sister, seriously. Yuan Chao suddenly put away his joking expression and said very seriously. I really didn't expect Brother Yin to do so much for our family. I quite regret my previous attitude towards him. If there's a chance, help me explain it to him. Yuan Qingshuang wasn't surprised to hear Yuan Chao call him Brother Yin. She knew that Yuan Chao would definitely have a good impression of Su Yin after seeing what Su Yin had done for their family. He won't mind such a small matter, Yuan Qingshuang said. After she finished speaking, a worried look appeared on her face. Yes, how could Su Yin have the time to care about such a small matter? He was facing a huge and difficult challenge. Yuan Chao was keenly aware of the expression on his sister's face. He asked doubtfully, Sister, is there something wrong with Brother Su Yin? Can you tell me? Yuan Qingshuang looked at her brother helplessly. What could she do even if she told him? Although I may not be able to help much, if I can help him share some of the burden, it can be considered as repaying his kindness to our parents. Yuan Chao said these words to his sister very seriously. He knew that even if it was just to comfort her, it could also make his sister feel more relaxed. Yuan Qingshuang felt that it was necessary to let her brother know what had happened to her. So she began to talk about Su Yun's identity. After learning that his brother-in-law was actually the famous Yan Long of the Dragon Fury team, Yuan Chao's eyes lit up with excitement. No wonder so many brothers admire him so much. Wait a minute, Yuan Chao was surprised again. How could the great Yan Long not even be able to dodge his kick that day? And he was even sent flying by his kick. This was obviously impossible. There must be something fishy going on. After Yuan Chao raised his doubts, Yuan Qingshuang told him how Su Yun's inner strength and vital energy were damaged when he killed Leng Chen, and how he went to Japan to retrieve the seeds of the qi consolidating grass. Yuan Chao's shock was as if he had seen Halley's comet collide with Earth time and time again. He really couldn't believe that Su Yun had done so many big things that he didn't even dare to think about. What about now? Now that they have the qi consolidating grass, what are they going to do? Yuan Chao had completely immersed himself in the story of his brother-in-law. He was deeply worried about Su Yun's situation. Yuan Qingshuang shook her head. They said that they need to find a very powerful person to refine the elixir that Su Yun needs. I only heard them say that the person is called Huang Fugua, and he's not an ordinary person. Lin Ge went to ask his master, and finally found out about the person's whereabouts. He should have been at Nanhai Island for 2 days, but there's still no news. Sigh, I really don't know if they found him or not. Huang Fugua. Yuan Chao's whole body froze. It took him a long time to come back to his senses. He asked his sister again to confirm. You're saying that Brother Yin went to Nanhai Island to find Huang Fugua? Huang Fugua can help him refine the qi consolidating pill that he needs? Without this elixir, he won't be able to recover his previous strength for the rest of his life, right? Yes. Yuan Qingshuang nodded. She was also puzzled now. Her brother used to be a weak and skinny young man. How could he suddenly become so agile and swift? What happened to you all these years? Aren't you going to tell me? Yuan Chao suddenly stood up and began to pack his things. Sister, I'll tell you slowly when I come back. But now I need to go to Nanhai Island. The sooner the better. Why are you going to Nanhai Island? Yuan Qingshuang couldn't understand her brother's sudden behavior at all. You're already home. I won't let you leave so casually. Sister. Back then, I wasn't hacked to death. The person who saved me was old Master Huangfu. It's also because of old Master Huangfu that I'm able to achieve what I have today, Yuan Chao said. In order to repay his kindness, I stayed by old Master Huangfu's side all these years. It was he who saved me. Moreover, he's not in good health. I haven't heard from him because I'm in Nanhai Island. I don't know when I'll be back. Ruan Qingshuang felt like she was in a dream. She couldn't understand this matter. It was too complicated. Sister, it's absolutely impossible for old Master Huangfu to refine elixirs for others, Ruan Chao said. So I have to go to Nanhai Island to find them. I have to help with this matter. You know the big shot they're talking about? Ruan Qingshuang still couldn't believe it. It can't be someone with the same name, right? Ruan Chao shook his head. Of course not. Sister, you have to believe me. I have to do my best for this matter. Whether it's old Master Huangfu or big brother Su Yin, they're both people I want to repay. I have to go to Nanhai Island. Although old Master Huangfu said that he wouldn't let me go back when I left, I had to do it. But I can only let my words slip. Ruan Qingshuang quickly organized her thoughts. Even if you have to go, it's not now. There's usually no flight to Nanhai Island at night. Go to sleep first. I'll book a ticket for you for tomorrow. You can explain to Dad and Mom when you wake up tomorrow morning. It won't be too late to leave after that. The next day, Ruan Chao said goodbye to his parents and boarded the plane to Nanhai Island. Chapter 925. Su Yin was surprised. He couldn't believe that Ruan Chao would call Huangfu Gua master. Ruan Qingshuang's brother, who had been missing for many years, had such a relationship with Huangfu Gua. No one in the underground world had ever heard that Huangfu Gua, who always liked to be alone, would accept a disciple. Lin Ge didn't know that the person in front of him was Sister Qingshuang's brother. He looked at him gratefully. Although he didn't say anything, he sincerely thanked him in his heart. They were in a desperate situation, and a young man who had nothing to do with them stepped forward to help them. It was like sending charcoal in the snow. How could they not be grateful? Huangfu Gua's face darkened. After a while he said, I remember telling you very clearly that if you leave, don't come back. Little Chao, although you and I are fated, it's over. Don't call me master anymore. I know you're kind, but this has nothing to do with you. You don't have to kneel on the ground for two strangers. A man has gold under his knees. You should understand this. Ruan Chao was still kneeling in front of Huangfu Gua sincerely. Master, no matter what, I have to help brother Su Yin. If it wasn't for him, my family would have been torn apart. He changed the fate of my family. I have no reason not to repay him for everything he did for my family. Please, you must promise me. You know each other? Lin Ji's doubts were the same as Huangfu Gua's. However, Huangfu Gua wouldn't ask, and he wouldn't be curious about their relationship. Su Yin couldn't explain it clearly for a while. He could only tell Lin Ge the general situation. He's Sister Shuang's brother, Ruan Chao. We met him in Nanjiang 2 days after you left. I'll talk to you about this when we get back. Lin Ge nodded. His heart was filled with disbelief. When Huangfu Gua heard Su Yin's words, he was stunned. He said to Ruan Chao, You really went to Nanjiang. It seems that you still can't let go of the hatred in your heart. Little Chao, if you can't let go of the past, hatred will only lead you down a path of no return. Master, it was brother Su Yin's appearance that made me pull myself back from the brink, Ruan Chao said. So I had to rush here to do something for him. I know your principles. Washing your hands in a golden basin is washing your hands in a golden basin. But I can. If you teach me, I'll do it. This doesn't go against your principles. Huangfu Gua raised his eyebrows and sighed. When you leave, you have nothing to do with me anymore. I made this very clear. Are you really going to leave him to die? Ruan Chao looked at Huangfu Gua in surprise. Huangfu Gua nodded expressionlessly. When Lin Ge saw that the old man was so ruthless, he couldn't help but directly contradict Huangfu Gua. We respect you and give you face. You don't have to be so ruthless, right? What will it take for you to agree to help my brother? Say it. Whether I, Lin Ge, can do it or not, I'll do it. Huangfu Gua narrowed his eyes and looked at this loyal boy. He said without hesitation. You heard what we said just now. I've washed my hands in a golden basin. I'm just living the life of an ordinary person. I won't save anyone, nor will I hurt anyone. Even when I met a few hooligans today, I asked you to help me deal with them. I won't go against my principles. Master. Yuan Chao was still pleading. Su Yun could only sigh that he was born at the wrong time. Who knew that Huang Fugua, who was still killing people a few years ago, would suddenly wash his hands in a golden basin? Okay, if that's the case, then I'll make you go against your principles. Lin Ge said. If you kill people again, it'll be even more against your principles. Today, I'll make you make an exception and break the rules. As long as you break the rules, then promise to help my brother refine medicine. Huang Fugua was stunned. What did this kid mean? Was he threatening him? Yuan Chao was also stunned. He didn't expect that Lin Ge would do anything for Su Yun. His brother had gone to this extent. He had nothing to say. Don't be stupid. Su Yun knew what Lin Ge wanted to do. He immediately stood up to stop him. If he went head-to-head with Huang Fugua, it would be like hitting a rock with an egg. Lin Ge knew this, and that was why he did what he did. As long as Huang Fugua killed him, it would be an exception. Lin Ge didn't listen to anyone. He looked at Huang Fugua coldly and firmly. If you don't do it, don't blame me for not reminding you. I'll kill you. Since you don't plan to help us, there's no point in keeping you. I won't let you do that. Yuan Chao stepped in front of Lin Ge. Although his strength was far from Lin Ji's, he would never let Lin Ge hurt the person who gave him a new life. Huang Fugua couldn't figure it out. He couldn't understand why these young people were so crazy and even extreme. Enough. After an angry rebuke, Huang Fugua said to the three of them unwillingly, all of you, come down with me. There was a secret door in Huang Fugua's house, and there was another floor underground. When Su Yun and the others walked in, they were quite shocked. None of them had seen the things inside. The various pharmaceutical equipment and pill furnaces were completely beyond their imagination. It was obvious that this was Huang Fugua's mysterious country. Give the qi consolidating grass you brought to Yuan Chao. Huang Fugua ordered faintly. Su Yun and Lin Ge were instantly happy. They knew there was hope. Huang Fugua was finally convinced by them. Although he wouldn't do it himself, if he personally guided Yuan Chao, there was still hope. After Yuan Chao took the qi consolidating grass excitedly, Huang Fugua pointed to a huge round wooden bucket in the corner and ordered, put 3 leaves in there first. Let Su Yun soak in it to consolidate the aura in his body that hasn't completely disappeared. Otherwise, he won't be able to withstand the stimulation of the medicine later. After that, Huang Fugua glanced at Lin Ge and said, Kid, I didn't ask you to come down here to drink tea. Go and fetch water for that wooden bucket. Find the utensils yourself. There's hot water directly from the water pipe in the southeast corner. You can't expect an old man like me to fetch water for a stinky kid, right? Lin Ge nodded repeatedly. He chuckled and went to get busy. Huang Fugua walked to the side of the table, opened the drawer, and took out a very thick sheepskin diary. He dipped his index finger in his mouth and began to read. Su Yun really didn't know where to start with the gratitude in his heart. He quietly walked behind Huang Fugua and said, Old Master Huang Fu, if there's anything you need me to do in the future, just let me know. Alright, don't flatter me. I was forced to do this by that little bastard Lin Ge. Huang Fugua was obviously joking. He looked back at Su Yun and said, Take off your clothes now and get into that wooden bucket to take a good bath. You're already an adult. You don't need me to help you change your clothes, right? Su Yun didn't dare to disobey. He obediently took off his clothes and got into the wooden bucket. The hot water instantly evaporated all the fatigue in his body. After fetching the hot water, Lin Ge didn't have time to ask Su Yun if he felt anything. He directly ran to Huang Fugua and asked if there were any other tasks. Huang Fugua directly asked him to go upstairs and cook. Although Lin Ge was helpless, he still chose to do it in the end. Yuan Chao stayed downstairs and followed Huang Fugua's instructions step by step to prepare the ingredients and operate the tools he had never seen before. Chapter 926. Lin Ji's cooking skills weren't bad either. In less than an hour he made a few dishes with the ingredients Huang Fugua bought, and placed them on the table. After a while, Huang Fugua came up alone. He washed his hands and went directly to the table to eat. After tasting it, he nodded, indicating that he was satisfied with Lin Ji's meal. Old Master Huangfu, and them? Lin Ji's heart was still down there. Only Ruan Chao was down there. Of course he was worried. Huang Fugua wouldn't let him down, right? What, do you suspect that I didn't do my best? Huang Fugua said. Kid, your luck is already very good. If Ruan Chao didn't come back and ask, don't even think that I would agree to help you. Ruan Chao is a genius in pharmacological thinking. Although he's only reached the second-rate level during the time he's been with me, it's really embarrassing for me as his master. But he's very proficient in pharmacological thinking. I'm not showing off the kid I like, as long as he takes my diary. There's no difficult disease in this world that he can't solve. Lin Ge took a breath of cold air. Awesome, too awesome. One of the three kings was so imposing. Even his words were so firm. If Huang Fugua couldn't help Su Yun, then no one in this world could. This was certain. Lin Ge nodded repeatedly as he poured wine for Huang Fugua. 2 hours passed. Huang Fugua had been eating slowly, and Lin Ge was still standing to the side serving wine. Huang Fugua didn't invite him to eat together, and he really wasn't in the mood to eat. Finally, Ruan Chao came up with a head full of sweat. He wiped the sweat on his temples with the back of his hand and reported to Huang Fugua. Master, I've already given him 5 doses of qi-strengthening soup in 2 hours according to your request. Then, I just let him take the qi-strengthening pill that was stir-fried into a pill. Okay. Huang Fugua didn't have much of a reaction. He just nodded and said to him, sit down and eat. This kid's cooking is good. Just took the medicine? What's going on? What reaction? Lin Ge hurriedly said. When is my brother coming up? That I'll go down and take a look. Huang Fugua slammed the wine glass in his hand on the table and said, why are you meddling in this? Su Yun needs to be soaked in the qi consolidating grass for at least 24 hours. Otherwise, he won't be able to bear the side effects of the qi consolidating pill. If you want him to be fine, then sit here obediently and eat, then sleep and wait. By this time tomorrow, I promise he'll be fine. After hearing Huang Fugua's words, Lin Ge felt a lot more at ease. But the hot water in the wooden tub, will it need to be changed after a long time? You don't have to worry about that, Huang Fugua said. The side effect of the energy consolidating pill will make Su Yun's body temperature enough to maintain the temperature of the wooden barrel. What he needed now was silence. Although the process would be somewhat painful, it was also meaningful to him. At least he would know that in the future, he should take this seriously. Don't try to be brave and face those guys that you can't stop. Lin Ge heaved a long sigh of relief. No one was willing to face such powerful opponents. But if they came knocking on your door, what could you do? Running away was never the solution to the root of the problem. Only by standing up and confronting them could everything end peacefully. Su Yun had too many people to protect. He had no choice but to stand up and face everything. No matter how powerful the enemy was, he could not shrink back or be afraid. This was the most torturous 24 hours of Su Yun's life. That kind of physical and mental torture almost made him want to give up. When the energy consolidating grass took effect in his body, he could very clearly feel the gathering of true energy. It was as if every pore in his body had shrunk into a sealed state, forcing the lost true energy back into Su Yun's body little by little. During the whole process, Su Yun's body was terrifyingly hot because it was unable to dissipate the heat. The water in the wooden tub didn't need any heating at all. Su Yun was like a huge human heating rod. If it wasn't for the fact that he needed to heat up the water around him, his body might have been even hotter and uncontrollable. To use the most appropriate word to describe it, he was like a hot water contraband popular in university dormitories. This kind of rapid heating of the body happened once every hour. Within 10 minutes, Su Yun would feel that his body and internal organs were melting. After more than 10 times of this kind of torture, Su Yun completely forgot about the time. He only knew that he could clearly feel that the true energy in his body had been recovered by more than 50%. Huang Fugua was indeed Huang Fugua. Although it seemed like a simple method of refining and stir-frying the elixir, it could make a huge change and effect in a short time. Su Yun knew that although he had only suffered for half of the time, as long as he persevered for another half of the time, all the true energy in his body would be recovered. At that time, he would still be a master of the Grandmaster realm who was feared by everyone. The torture continued. Huang Fugua had already gone to sleep. When he woke up, he ate his coarse grain breakfast step by step, watched the morning news, and then made a pot of flower tea. After drinking the tea, he watered the flowers and fed the 2 arowana fish. He lived as leisurely as an old immortal. Lin Gu and Ruan Chao were not so relaxed. The two of them went to the yard to smoke from time to time. Their anxiety and uneasiness were mixed with hope and expectation. Ruan Chao told Lin Gu about how Su Yin and his sister found him in Nanjiang. Lin Gu also gave a general introduction of his situation to Ruan Chao. Because the two of them were about the same age and had a common language, they quickly became familiar with each other. After listening to Lin Gu talk a lot about what Su Yin had done for Ruan Qingshuang, Ruan Chao's gratitude to Su Yin became even stronger. He knew that these were not things that could be repaid with a word or two of thanks. Lin Gu thanked Ruan Chao from time to time for all that he had done for them. He thanked him for appearing in Nanjiang Island as soon as he learned about the situation, and he thanked him for persuading Huang Fugua to help them. Ruan Chao was naturally embarrassed to accept any thanks for these insignificant things. He just told Lin Gu that compared to what Su Yin had done for their Ruan family, what he did was nothing at all. He just did what he could, and what Su Yin gave them was hope for life and the future as a family of 4. In this life, people could live without money, without material things, without anything, but they could not live without hope. Once this was gone, people's minds would fall into despair. Those who chose to give up their lives often lost their hope in life. This was a very scary thing. Every time he thought that his parents could have a happy life in their old age, Ruan Chao would say thanks again and again in his heart. All the thanks were for Su Yin. None of us could understand the gratitude in his heart, because none of us had fallen into the desperate situation of his family. Finally, 24 hours passed. Huang Fugua said to the 2 boys faintly, "Go down and clean up the mess. Sigh, it's a pity that I have a wooden bucket. Let the kid surnamed Su compensate me later." Chapter 927. The feeling of regaining everything made Su Yin feel as if he had been reborn. When the lost true qi filled his body again, Su Yin realized how muddle-headed he had been in the past few days. The feeling of his life being uncertain and unable to control the situation really made him feel uncomfortable. In order to express his gratitude to Huang Fugua, Su Yin promised that no matter what Huang Fugua asked or needed him to do, he could ask him to do it. However, Huang Fugua shook his head and said that he had already stood aloof from worldly affairs. The 3 of them said goodbye to Huang Fugua and left South Island. There was nothing for them to remember here. In the distance, there were family and friends who were looking forward to their return. After Su Yin recovered everything, he just wanted to let them know as soon as possible so that they would not worry about him anymore. After this incident, Ruan Qingshuang was not the only one who was haggard. Zhuo Meiyan had not slept soundly either. After Chang drove to the airport to pick them up, he immediately rushed back to the hotel with the 3 of them. Today was the weekend. Chou Yun and Guogua were also waiting for them at the hotel. Su Yin had not seen his daughter for many days. He really missed her. Sure enough, as soon as they got out of the car, Guogua shouted "Daddy," and rushed into Su Yun's arms like a whirlwind. After showing concern for Su Yun's situation like a little adult, she began to complain about how childish the education at school was. The things taught were child's play to her. She wanted to skip to the 5th grade and take the entrance exam. After complaining to Su Yin for a while, Guogua looked Ruan Chao up and down and said with a smile, "Are you my legendary uncle?" Ruan Chao had not seen this little devil since he came back, nor had he had the chance to hear Ruan Qingshuang mention this mischievous girl. Now that such a big niece suddenly appeared, Ruan Chao's brain really couldn't wrap itself around it. Seeing Ruan Chao's blank face, Guogua put her hands on her waist and turned to Ruan Qingshuang and said, "Mom, you haven't mentioned me to uncle yet, right?" Ruan Qingshuang looked embarrassed. She really didn't remember to mention Guogua to Ruan Chao. Originally, she wanted to mention it, But Ruan Chao was so anxious to go to Nanhai Island to find Su Yun and the others, saying that he could help. How could she be in the mood to mention Guogua? It was not until the weekend when Cho Yun brought Guogua back that she remembered. Then, she told Guogua that they had found Ruan Chao. Ruan Chao's jaw almost dropped to the ground as he stuttered. Sis, you and Brother Yun's child, is already this big? Ruan Qingshuang blushed. This was a misunderstanding. But before she could explain to Su Yun, Ruan Chao was puzzled again. Although he had left home for a while, his niece couldn't be 7 years old. It wasn't like he hadn't seen his sister 7 years ago. If his sister was pregnant, how could he not tell? What on earth was going on? I'll explain it to you later. Ruan Qingshuang shook her head helplessly and said to Ruan Chao, who was surprised. Although Guogua is not my biological daughter, she is like my own daughter. You will be her uncle in the future. Ruan Chao's Adam's apple moved, and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He had really gained a lot when he went home this time. He was now an uncle, and his seniority had increased by 1 level. Later, he learned little by little about Guogua's origin from everyone. Of course, this was all in the future. In order to celebrate Su Yun's return to the top, everyone at the dinner table was very excited. After Ruan Chao realized that his brother-in-law was actually a master of the supreme power realm, the surprise in his heart was even more difficult to digest. During the time he had been with Huang Fugua, under Huang Fugua's training, he had quickly grasped the door and discovered the mystery of masters. However, because of his limited physique and potential, he had stagnated after breaking through to the realm of a second-rate master. Compared to ordinary people, second-rate masters already had strong internal organs, strong qi and blood, extended lifespan by dozens of years, strong strength, and overlapping strength in their tendons and veins, so he was already very satisfied. It wasn't until now that Ruan Chao realized that among the people at the table, as long as he had grasped the door, he was the only one who was not in the class. Everyone else was much stronger than him. Even little Dongbei and Li Moran, who didn't have any state of mind cultivation, were probably stronger than him. Xinjiang's public security was very good these days, so Qin Wen'er was relatively free. After the leaders arranged for her to study in Yanjing for a period of time, she returned to Xinjiang yesterday and got 3 days off. Qin Wen'er hadn't gathered with everyone for a long time, so she was very excited. She was the most active person at the dinner table. After a few rounds of drinking, the atmosphere became more lively. Ruan Chao felt the care of his family. Everyone drank with him individually. First, it was to celebrate his integration with everyone. Second, it was to thank him for helping Su Yun solve such a big problem. Ruan Qingshuang also told him that because it wasn't too far from Xinjiang, it was only a few hours' drive, so Yi Fala gave him the position of vice president of Xinkai Hotel. He told him to work here in the future and to go home at least twice a week. Ruan Chao was so touched that he didn't know what to say. He agreed to work at Xinkai, but he didn't dare to be a vice president. He said that he had no experience and had never done hotel management before. He hoped that he could start from the bottom. When he felt that he had the ability, it wouldn't be too late to shamelessly ask for an official position. Because of this, Yi Fala was even more satisfied with this kid. He promised to let him start from the position of assistant to the lobby manager. He also recommended some books on hotel management for him to read. Zhuo Meiyan pretended to be jealous. Such a talent was poached by Yi Fala. If Jibei wasn't so far away, she would definitely poach this talent to work at Sky Entertainment. The joyous atmosphere lasted for more than 3 hours. It wasn't until dinner was about to end that Qin Wen'er received a phone call. From Qin Wen'er's serious expression and tone, Su Yun knew that something big must have happened in Xinjiang. Qin Wen'er hung up the phone and was in a hurry to go to the station. She said that there was a murder at a remote dock near the sea. According to the investigation at the scene, there were actually people who sneaked in by diving. Witnesses said that those people were speaking Japanese. The Japanese often did provocative and stupid things on Turtle Island. Qin Wen'er was naturally nervous when such a thing happened. Who knew what despicable things the Japanese were up to? But as long as they dared to violate the people of Huaxia and the territory of Huaxia, then she had the obligation to bring them to justice. This matter was really strange. Su-yin frowned. Even if that grandson in pay was stupid, he wouldn't do such a crazy provocation, right? But the people who sneaked in by diving definitely weren't ordinary people. Not to mention the existence of sharks in the deep sea. The physical strength of an ordinary person wouldn't be able to withstand such a long distance. Wait a minute. Su-yun's brain buzzed. Could it be Muto Ichiro's people? Hiss. Su-yun took a deep breath and said to Qin, I'll go with you. Why are you going with me? Qin was startled. She didn't expect Su-yun to take the initiative to cooperate with the police. Although they were close, she was very clear that Su-yun didn't like the police. Are you sure? It's not that simple, Su-yun said lightly. Chapter 928. Wang Zhe drove Su-yun and Qin Weiner all the way to the remote dock. The scene had been completely surrounded by the police, and no one was allowed to enter. Several policemen coldly signaled Wang Zhe to drive the car away and forbade people from watching. Qin Weiner walked out of the car. Seeing that it was the leader, the policemen immediately changed their attitude. They respectfully greeted Qin Weiner, and then looked at Su-yun and Wang Zhe, who came with her, with some surprise. They are not outsiders. Qin Weiner didn't explain much. She took Su-yun and Wang Zhe to open the cordon and walked to the scene of the crime. A group of people at the scene were investigating under the leadership of Li Mi from the Key Case Investigation Unit. Seeing Qin Weiner arrive, Li Mi immediately came to greet her. He had dealt with Su-yun before, so naturally, he was familiar with him. Qin Weiner. Li Mi responded and looked back at Su-yun. Mr. Su, you are here too. He didn't greet Wang Zhe, because he could see that Wang Zhe was just a driver. He smelled alcohol on Su-yun and Qin Weiner. Su-yun smiled and nodded as a response. Qin Weiner said, I asked him to come with me. Don't worry, Su-yun's experience is not less than yours. He won't destroy the crime scene. Let him take a look. Tell me the specifics of the situation. And what did you find? Li Mi nodded and immediately began to report to Qin Weiner. Su-yun and Wang Zhe, on the other hand, observed the crime scene without destroying it. Obviously, Su-yun's decision to come here was correct. This was definitely not an ordinary crime. The suspect almost didn't leave any trace. After hurting people, it was as if he had disappeared from the face of the earth. Ordinary people couldn't do this. Su-yun couldn't help but frown. It seemed that he hadn't had time to relax for 2 days, and the Japanese in Dongying wanted to cause trouble for him. Damn that old dog in pay. Su-yun cursed. What was that bastard in pay up to now? If it weren't for the fact that Huaxia's leaders were open and above board, they would have directly sent the Dragon Brigade's special forces to Japan. In less than a month, all those old dogs in the cabinet will be dead. Brother Yin, this is interesting. Wang Zhe whispered in Su-yun's ear. I don't think that old dog Ampere has the time to play these tricks. Recently, he has been playing dumb on the world political stage like a clown, but he hasn't received enough support. He probably wouldn't do such a brainless thing. If he really arranged for the Japanese agents to sneak into Huaxia, as long as we catch them, it would be tantamount to him slapping his own mouth. Su-yun thought about it and agreed. Although that old dog in pay often did a series of funny things, the fact that he could become the Prime Minister of Japan meant that he was not a brainless person, and would not do such a ridiculous thing. Then what kind of person would do such a crazy thing? Su-yun took a deep breath. This didn't seem good. Although he had tricked Muto Ichiro after arriving in Japan, Muto Ichiro was not hurt except for losing the chi consolidating grass seed. He was probably mad at Su-yun now and could take revenge at any time. During this period of time, Su-yun didn't have the time to think about these things. Muto Ichiro had enough time to investigate Su-yun's situation and social relations. This matter was very likely directed at him. Su-yun clenched his fists. His body that was filled with true chi burned with a raging fire. Good, since Muto Ichiro dared to come knocking on his door, he, Su-yun, was not afraid to compete with him. He was no longer the cripple he was a few days ago. He could clearly feel that the true chi in his body was abundant. Since the last time they fought, Su-yun gradually realized that Muto Ichiro was a fake profound world realm expert. His real strength was probably only at the Grandmaster realm. Therefore, Su Yin was not afraid to fight with him. To Su Yin he could even kill Leng Chen. Why would he be afraid of Muto Ichiro? Good. Su Yin sneered. Wang Zhe didn't quite understand the meaning of Su Yin's words. He was stunned for a moment. Brother Yin, what do you mean? Come, let's go back. The police won't be able to find out anything about this. Su Yin said. Sure enough, after listening to Li Mi's report, Qin Wan'er went straight to Su Yin's side. The investigation didn't yield any results. It seems like it wasn't done by an ordinary person. Did you guys find anything? Su Yin shook his head. He didn't want the police to intervene in his own affairs. If Muto Ichiro wanted to find trouble with him, he hoped that he could personally deal with this Huaxia traitor. He wanted to let those traitors know that although it was easy to betray the country, it was not easy to save one's life. Don't let Su Yin catch you. If he caught you, he would kill you. I didn't find anything, Su Yin said. Are you going back with us or staying? Qin Wan'er looked at Su Yin with some doubt. It wasn't that she didn't believe Su Yin, but Su Yin said it so casually that she felt something was wrong. You guys are going back now. You're not going to look for any clues or evidence left behind. This wasn't done by an ordinary person. I don't need to tell you. Su Yin said. Staying here is just a waste of time. But I can't tell you this to the police. You guys have your own rules and procedures. It's useless even if I tell you. Qin Wan'er knew that Su Yin was right. She could only nod. Okay, you guys go back first. I'm afraid I'll have to work overtime again today. Pay more attention to rest. Su Yin said. Sometimes, it's meaningless to work overtime. Others don't understand, but don't you know? Qin Wan'er shrugged her shoulders helplessly. So what if she knew? After all, this was her job. She couldn't lead a strike, right? After sending off Su Yin and Wang Zhe, Qin Wan'er stayed at the scene with her colleagues. Sometimes, she also felt that the police's procedures were cumbersome. This wasn't something that could be solved in a day. On the way back to the hotel, Su Yin kept thinking about how Muto Ichiro would appear in front of him. The ringing of the phone interrupted his thoughts. Zhou Meiyan's panicked voice made Su Yin feel like his brain was going to explode. Something happened at the hotel. Chou Yun is injured. Guogua has been kidnapped. Zhou Meiyan's words were like needles stabbing into his heart. Wang Zhe also heard the voice on the phone. Without needing Su Yun's order, he stepped on the asphalt and the car sped off. Su Yun's mind was in a mess. He just suspected that Muto Ichiro was going to find trouble with him, and Guogua was in trouble. Could these two things be related? But how could it be? The person who kidnapped Guogua must have a clear target. He was going for Guogua. So he only met Chou Yun. He didn't meet Lin Gu, Zhou Meiyan or Yi Fala. Could it be that someone else knew about Guogua's secret? This was no doubt a bolt from the blue for Su Yin. Chapter 929. Wang Zhe rushed back to the hotel as fast as he could. Wan Qingshuang and Yi Fala were still guarding the hotel. Chou Yun was knocked unconscious by someone with strong arm strength. Although there was no danger to her life, it would be difficult for her to wake up for a while. Presumably, the opponent's strength was much higher than Chou Yun's, which was why the famous violent fox Venerable couldn't even withstand a single blow. After Zhou Meiyan had called Su Yin, she had already made arrangements in advance. Because the intruders had only come for Guogua, Zhou Meiyan believed that they would definitely leave behind some clues if they left in a hurry after succeeding. Therefore, she immediately arranged for Zhou Yiming and her to lead a team to search separately. Chang and the three tigers of Nanqing dutifully followed Zhou Yiming. Little Dongbei, Li Moran and Ruan Chao the uncle also immediately left with Zhou Meiyan. When Su Yin and Wang Zhe returned to the hotel, they had already gone out to search for more than 10 minutes. Because Yi Fala was worried that Ruan Qingshuang couldn't take care of Chou Yun alone, she chose to stay at the hotel. After all, Ruan Qingshuang was a little distracted when Guogua was kidnapped. It wasn't until Su Yin returned that Ruan Qingshuang seemed to have recovered. After Yi Fala told Su Yin about the situation, Su Yin punched the wall and said angrily, "Nonsense! Where did they go? Where's Lin Gu? Why didn't he stop them?" Since the intruder could easily take care of Chou Yun, There was no point in them chasing after them, especially Chang and the 3 tigers of Nanchang. It was impossible for them to be a match for the intruder. Even if they caught up with them, it would only be a meaningless sacrifice. Su Yin believed that Lin Gu knew about this and would stop it from happening. The pigeon rushed over as soon as it heard the sound, but we only heard his voice. After rushing over, he disappeared. Yefra said, "There are only 2 possibilities. The first is that he was kidnapped like Guogua, and the second is that he chased after them." Obviously, even human traffickers who abducted children would not kidnap such a strong young man. It was more likely that Lin Gu would chase after them. If it was Lin Gu, Su Yin would be more or less at ease. After all, Lin Gu was one of the few super experts in the underground world. It was very difficult for ordinary people to harm him. Even if he met a fierce person, he wouldn't lose his life. "Wang Zhe, you stay here right now and help gather everyone back. Without my orders, no one is allowed to do such a stupid thing." Su Yin said. "Tells Wamayan that I said it. No one, including herself, is allowed to act without permission." "Yes." Wang Zhe nodded and agreed without hesitation. He immediately took out his phone and was about to call them and issue Su Yan's summons. "Sister Shuang, I will definitely bring Guogua back." "Su Yin, you don't have to think too much. I'll take care of this." Although Wan Qingxuang's spirit was much better, she was still a little absent-minded. She knew that Su Yin was preparing to go out and investigate. She was worried that he didn't want her to go, but she also understood that if he didn't go, Guogua would be in danger. She didn't know what to say. Su Yin understood Wan Qingxuang's dilemma. "I understand the pigeon. Since he knows that the other party can easily solve the problem of Chou Yun, it means that the other party is strong enough. He won't act rashly. He will definitely leave clues for me on the way. I will be careful." Wan Qingxuang didn't reply, nor did she nod or shake her head. "We won't be at ease if you go alone. Should we wait for them to come back and discuss further?" Yefra was really worried that Su Yin wouldn't be able to handle it alone. "It's too late." Su Yin didn't even think about it, and directly left the hotel. He believed that Lin Gu would leave clues for him. As long as he was careful, he would definitely be able to find it. Su Yin organized his thoughts in time. He realized that there must be some connection between the smuggling incident at the remote dock and Guogua being kidnapped from the hotel. When he and Qinwan went to the scene at the dock, Su Yin had a vague intuition that Muto Ichiro wouldn't let him go so easily. However, he didn't expect that something would happen to Guogua so quickly. There was one thing that Su Yin didn't know. Muto Ichiro already knew about Guogua's secret from Green Ghost. If Su Yin knew about this, he wouldn't have been so careless. Ever since he got rid of Leng Qin, Su Yin didn't worry about Guogua anymore. He thought that Guogua's secret had been completely silenced with Leng Chen's death. However, he didn't expect that Guogua's secret had already reached Muto Ichiro's ears. If Su Yin hadn't gone to trouble Muto Ichiro for the Qi consolidating grass, Muto Ichiro would have calmed down, and carefully pondered over this matter. Then he would have made a thorough plan. However, Su Yin stole the seed of the Qi consolidating grass. Muto Ichiro couldn't bear it anymore. If Muto Ichiro wanted to get the support of the Japanese cabinet, he had to show his strength and achievements. Now his Heizuka's troops were completely wiped out, and the seed of the Qi consolidating grass was stolen by Su Yin. It could be said that he had nothing. If he appeared in front of his master like this, he would definitely be scolded badly. Under such great pressure, Muto Ichiro decided to give it his all. If the secret that Green Ghost had told him was true, he could use the Zuhoya's amazing ability to improve his strength. Muto Ichiro's ambition began to change. For so many years, he had been loyal to the cabinet as a dog under the feet of his masters. But now he didn't think so anymore. Those dogs in the cabinet were the pawns of the Emperor of Japan. If he could get rid of the Emperor, he wouldn't have to be a dog anymore. He wanted to be the master. He didn't want to be a dog anymore. His father's generation had enough of being the dogs of the Japanese. He wanted to be the master of the Japanese. As long as he got Feng Guogua, he could use the shortest time to improve his mental strength. If he could break through to the Sky Xian realm, then even the Emperor of Japan would have to submit to him. At that time, he could be like Cao Cao, holding the emperor and ordering his vassals. At that time, the world of Japan would belong to him, Muto Ichiro. Everyone said that he was a dog. He wanted the whole world to see that he wasn't a dog. He would become the master. The strong ambition drove Muto Ichiro to no longer wait. The day after Su Yun stole his chi consolidating grass seed, he used his connections to find a partner. He hired 2 jonins at a high price to investigate this matter in Huaxia. Soon Muto Ichiro got the answer he was looking for. It wasn't difficult to investigate Su Yun. He was now the head of Sky Entertainment Group, the leader of Huaxia's film and entertainment industry. His social status and recognition were very high. Many ordinary people had seen Su Yun's introduction on TV or online news, as well as in newspapers and magazines. Even the leader of the fashion magazine world had published Su Yun's picture on the cover of the latest issue, along with the words, "Who will lead Eastern Hollywood?" and a big question mark. In short, Su Yun was an influential figure in Huaxia. It was almost certain that he would be one of the top 10 youths in the country next year. It wasn't difficult to investigate him. Although it wasn't easy to find out about Feng Guogua, as long as there were clues, it wouldn't be difficult for these ghost-like jonins. After getting the information, Muto Ichiro didn't even wait for a minute. He directly boarded the ship that he had contacted. He didn't enter Huaxia through the proper means because it would be inconvenient for him. He chose the sea route with more leeway and directly dived ashore. Muto Ichiro, who harbored a grudge, was fully prepared to kill when he came to the mainland this time. He would definitely take Feng Guogua away. And if Su Yun wanted to die, he wouldn't stop him. If anyone wanted to die, he would send them on their way. Chapter 930. In this state, Muto Ichiro had completely entered a manic state. He was a very dangerous person. This also explained why he had mercilessly killed Huaxia people after they had dived and landed. Rather than saying that he had lost his mind, it was better to say that he had lost his humanity. Muto Ichiro would not show mercy to anyone who tried to stop him, whether they were Huaxia people or Japanese. When he was still in Japan, in order to vent his anger from having his chi consolidating grass stolen, he killed all the members of the skeleton biker clan who had disturbed his sweet dreams in one night. Over 100 tyrannical biker gangs that bullied men and tyrannized women, not a single one of them was left alive. It was only because they had gathered in the middle of the night that the noise from the motorcycle exhaust was too loud and woke Muto Ichiro up. For such a small matter to cause Muto Ichiro to be so angry and violent, it was obvious that it was difficult for him to control his emotions and behavior. Muto Ichiro's eagerness for success and instant benefits made him seem like a different person overnight. Of course, Su Yun didn't know this, but he could guess that Muto Ichiro's anger was inevitable. Su Yun just didn't expect him to be so perverted. Because Lin Gu was in a hurry, it was difficult to leave any obvious clues for Su Yun. Su Yun also didn't know where to start, but after he observed the surrounding situation, he quickly determined the only thing that could leave a clue. On the paulownia planted along the street, there was a deep cut from a dagger. It was strong and straight, as if it was carved by a machine. If an ordinary person wanted to do this kind of small damage, they wouldn't do it so sharply. This was obviously Lin Ji's work in passing. Soon, Su Yun found the same dagger scratch on another paulownia 100 meters away. Lin Gu obviously didn't have time to carve an arrow to indicate the direction. He was sure that Su Yun didn't need such an obvious indication. He only needed to follow the direction of the scratch from deep to shallow, and Su Yun could determine the direction in which Lin Gu had chased. This was simple logic. Along the way, Su Yun could find a dagger mark every 100 meters. Whether it was going straight or turning, Lin Gu used a small dagger to mark it clearly. This wouldn't waste any time chasing after the clue, so Lin Gu didn't miss it. Finally, Lin Gu followed his mission and tracked to the last place. It wasn't a hotel, an abandoned factory, or a hidden clubhouse. It was actually Shenzhong's famous yacht club. Lin Gu only hesitated for a moment, then instantly understood the other party's goal. They weren't after Su Yun, nor were they after any of them. Their only goal was Guogua, and they wanted her alive. They wanted to use the fastest, most convenient, and most unpredictable method to transfer Guoguo away. Damn it. Lin Ge cursed in his heart. Just as he was thinking of a countermeasure, a cold voice came from behind him. I didn't think that someone would chase after me even though I gave you a chance to live. Hehehe, are you alone? Where's Su Yun? Lin Ge turned around abruptly. It was indeed that damned Muto Ichiro. Young man, I know that you have a bright future ahead of you. Why are you willing to be under Su Yun? Muto Ichiro looked at Lin Ge with a cold smile. I don't know if you know the girl's secret, but I can promise you that if you're willing to follow me, I'll let you get what Su Yun can't give you. Whether it's money, status, women, or your own strength and power, I can give them all to you. I'm also from Huaxia. If we can put aside our differences, I believe we'll be the best partners. How about we rule Dongying together? Facing the crazy Muto Ichiro, what surprised Lin Ge the most was how he knew the secret of Guoguo's identity. Didn't Su Yun say that this matter was over? Seeing that Lin Ge didn't say anything, Muto Ichiro thought that he was considering it, and continued to persuade him. I know that every young man in Huaxia has a dream. One day they'll destroy the emperor of Dongying, kill all his lackeys who rule the country, and burn down their Yasukuni society. Then they'll sleep with the women of Dongying, and make them pay for what their ancestors did. Today, I'll give you a chance to fulfill your dream. I'm not as childish as you think. Lin Ge sneered. I hate Dongying, but it doesn't mean that I hate all Dongying people. Their war criminals should be burned down, and the emperor and his lackeys who lead the country should be killed. But ordinary people are innocent. Muto Ichiro, I don't care what kind of ambition and plan you have. That's your own business. But if you want to fulfill your great ambition, you have to leave Guoguo behind. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving Huaxia. Ha ha ha, what did you say? I didn't hear you clearly. Muto Ichiro said. What right do you have to talk to me like that? Not to mention you, even Su Yun and Xie Fei's couldn't do anything to me. Lin Ge clenched his fists tighter and tighter. He understood that he was no match for Muto Ichiro. Muto Ichiro's strength was much higher than his. Not to mention that he had no hope of winning. He didn't even have much hope of stalling for time. He could only hope that Su Yun would rush over as soon as possible. As long as Muto Ichiro didn't go out to sea, there was still hope. Once he went out to sea, it would be impossible to catch him again. Alright, since you want me to go to Dongying with you, you should tell me the details of the plan. Otherwise, how can I be sure that you're not lying to me? Lin Ge said. What benefits can I get if I go? How much power will you give me? Alright kid, don't play any more tricks with me. Muto Ichiro said. I know you're just trying to stall for time, but let me tell you, even if Su Yun comes, the two of you won't be a match for me. I'm sparing your life today. Not because I'm soft-hearted, but because I want you to see how I unify Dongying and dominate the world. What a naive ambition. However, Lin Ge didn't want to talk about ambition with him. He definitely couldn't let him leave. Even if he had to risk his life, he couldn't let Guoguo be taken away by Muto Ichiro under his nose. Not only would he let down Su Yun and RuanQingshuang, but it would also cause chaos in the underground world. Thinking of this, Lin Ge had no choice but to take a gamble. Unfortunately, the difference in strength between the two of them was still very obvious. Lin Ge was completely defeated without even being able to put up any resistance. Even if he was a disguised Earth-profound realm expert, he was still one of the 7 kings. Lin Ge had really tried his best. He had done everything he could, but in the end he still fell at Muto Ichiro's feet. I've said that I'll spare your life and let you see the day I reach the peak. Muto Ichiro stood beside Lin Ge and sneered. When the time comes, it won't be too late for you to beg me to take you in, as long as you're willing to be an obedient dog by my side. Although Lin Ge had broken countless bones in his body, he still met Muto Ichiro's gaze and said, being a dog for the Dongying people for the rest of your life, being a dog is already a psychopath. You can stop dreaming. You'll always be a dog. Not only you but your whole family will be. Forever. At this moment, Lin Ge really hoped that Su Yun could arrive in time and appear in his sight. Chapter 931. Pigeon. Wake up. Lin Ge heard a particularly distant call in his dizziness. When the sharp pain from all over his body once again filled his blank mind, he couldn't help but open his eyes. Su Yun's figure came into his sight. The first thing he said was, "Brother, it's Muto Ichiro. He wants to take Guoguo away by sea. You have to go. If you don't stop him, it'll be too late." When Su Yun rushed to the scene, he vaguely heard the sound of a fast boat's engine, but he couldn't leave the unconscious Lin Ge and chase after them. Guoguo was very important to him, and Lin Ge was also very important to him. Su Yun chasing after them was almost meaningless. Timely treatment of Lin Ge was the only right choice. "It's too late," Su Yun said. "The boat has already set sail. You don't have to think about anything now. Don't blame yourself. This is my fault. I'm at fault for being careless. I'll take you back now. You have to adjust your breathing and heal your injuries first." Although Su Yun said so, Lin Ji's heart was still filled with deep self-blame. He didn't expect things to develop like this. If he could stop Muto Ichiro, everything would be much simpler. "I couldn't stop him from taking Guoguo away. Brother, don't say anything." Su Yun roughly checked Lin Ji's injuries, and found that his left shoulder and right arm had serious fractures. At least 3 ribs were broken. The frontal bone of his right calf also had a slight fracture, and his hip bone was seriously dislocated. From these large and small internal injuries, Su Yun could completely imagine the tragic battle between Lin Ge and Muto Ichiro. The gap between them was too big, and it was completely impossible for Lin Ge to match up. Lin Ge was able to hold on until that point. Obviously, he had exhausted all his strength. The final blow had hit his brain. Su Yun couldn't help but worry that Lin Ge might have a concussion. Of course, all of this still required more advanced scientific medical equipment to detect. Before waking up Lin Ge, Su Yun had already called Wang Zhe. Wang Zhe immediately rushed to the scene and brought Lin Ge back to the hotel with Su Yun. After learning the truth, Yi Fala immediately contacted the most authoritative orthopedic doctor, neurologist, and trauma doctor in Xinjiang City to make a house call at the hotel. After a series of complicated diagnosis and treatment, several expert doctors were quite surprised. They really couldn't believe the patient's physique. This injury was caused by a very serious external impact. It was a miracle that he could survive. Knowing that Lin Ji's life was not in danger, everyone was relieved. Back then, Ruan Chao was also beaten to the brink of death. After Huang Fugua saved him, he made several magical Chinese medicines for him. At that time, as an ordinary person, he recovered from his bone injuries very quickly. As the saying goes, it takes 100 days to recover from bone injuries, so he believed that those medicines were definitely quite special. Ruan Chao remembered the formula. He believed that it would be helpful to Lin Ge, so he went to the pharmacy to buy the medicine. Lin Ji's serious injury made everyone temporarily forget about Guoguo's situation. However, when Lin Ji's injury stabilized, the sad atmosphere of Guoguo's abduction once again shrouded everyone's heads. Ruan Qingshuang and Chou Yun's emotions were the most obvious. Chou Yun had just woken up not long ago, but she had the urge to go out and track down Guoguo many times. Ruan Qingshuang fell into extreme sadness. She didn't understand why God was always like this. She was just surrounded by happiness because of the family reunion and Su Yun's recovery. But then such a thing happened immediately. Why did they kidnap Guoguo? Ruan Qingshuang said. Are they forcing us to do something? Su Yun knew very well that Guoguo's greatest value was the secret of her own race. He really didn't understand how Muto Ichiro knew this secret. Damn it. Every time he thought of this, Su Yun couldn't help but blame himself for being careless. That bastard had already taken Guoguo away. Muto Ichiro came and left by sea. There was no way for anyone to figure out his route. Wait a minute. Su Yun suddenly had an idea. If one wanted to go from Dongying to Huaxia by sea and land, one had to have a large ship. It was impossible to rely on a small fast boat. Not to mention such a long distance. The wind and waves were so strong after reaching the high seas. The small boat couldn't withstand it at all. Muto Ichiro had already lost his position in Dongying. He had made too many mistakes recently. Those old bastards in the Dongying cabinet definitely wouldn't trust him too much. He probably didn't have the ability to get a large ship. Then there was only one possibility for him to come to Huaxia by sea. Just like when they escaped from Dongying last time, he used the arms merchant ships on land and sea as a hub to complete the entire Dongying Sea. Yes. That's right, that must be it. Su Yan quickly confirmed his thoughts. This was the only plausible explanation. At the same time, Zuomeyan wasn't idle either. She was also quickly analyzing this matter in her mind. Just as she saw Su Yan's eyes light up, she blurted out a name. Gu Qia. She might be able to help us. At the same time, Gu Qia's seductive and dignified appearance appeared in Su Yan's mind. That's right, Gu Qia was the only person they could think of who could help them now. When Su Yan left, he and Gu Qia exchanged contact numbers. However, Su Yan thought that this number was probably someone he would never contact in his life. That was because he didn't need arms and didn't think that he would have anything to do with Canada in this life. He didn't expect that fate would make a fool of him. Not long after, he actually needed Gu Qia's help again. Su Yan didn't waste any time. He quickly left the room and found a quiet place to call Gu Qia. After a long wait, no one picked up the phone. Su Yan's heart sank. If he couldn't contact Gu Qia, he wouldn't even have a breakthrough in this matter. Just as Su Yan was feeling disappointed, his phone rang. Gu Qia had actually replied. Hello. It's me. Su Yan was like a drowning person grabbing onto a life-saving straw. He said urgently. Gu Qia was stunned. She didn't know how nervous and flustered Su Yan was now. I was taking a shower just now. I didn't expect you to call. Why, we haven't seen each other for a long time. Did you miss me? Is your ship now in the international waters outside Huaxia? Su Yan asked nervously. He didn't have time to flirt with Gu Qia. He needed a definite answer. How did you know? Gu Qia was stunned. Why? Do you need arms? If you need them, I'm afraid you'll have to wait until next time. My transaction this time has ended. There aren't so many goods on the ship. Su Yan's heartbeat accelerated rapidly. I don't need arms. I just want to know if there are Japanese who took your ship to the international waters near Huaxia like last time. This is very important to me. You're really a clairvoyant. You even know this? Gu Qia said in surprise. That's right. There were 4 Japanese who took my ship. I charged them $1 million each for the journey. If I wasn't waiting for them, my ship would have returned long ago. When they come back, I'll definitely tell them that $1 million is the one-way fare. If they want to go back, they'll have to pay another $1 million. Otherwise, they won't be allowed to board the ship. You mustn't take them away. Give me the coordinates of the ship you stopped at. I'll rush over immediately. Su Yan didn't have time to explain so much and said directly. Chapter 932. Gu Qia, who didn't know Su Yan's mood, even prepared champagne. She almost saw this as a date, a romantic date without any sense of crisis. You came quite quickly. How did you know that my ship would stop at the international waters closest to Xinjiang? Gu Qia saw Su Yan and smiled generously. She pulled Su Yan to the sofa and sat down. Why? Those Japanese followed me to Xinjiang, on the way, to find trouble with you? Out of politeness, Su Yan naturally sat down obediently. However, when Gu Qia poured a glass of champagne for him, he still pushed it away and declined. He did not come here to chat and drink with friends. Those Japanese are already on the ship. Of course. Gu Qia said. As long as they're on this ship, they have to listen to me. They have to stay where I tell them to be. This ship is my territory. Su Yan was about to speak when Gu Qia stretched out her index finger and tapped Su Yan's upper lip. Listen to me first. It's not too late for you to speak. Oh. This was Gu Qia's ship. Su Yan needed her help. Muto Ichiro was hiding somewhere on this ship. He needed to explain the reason to Gu Qia and carefully discuss countermeasures. Gu Qia had something to say. As a guest, Su Yan should listen to her. He nodded and gestured for Gu Qia to continue. The people you're looking for won't be able to escape on the ship. Gu Qia said. So you don't have to worry at all. I want to ask you a question first. Are you looking for me just to find those Japanese? Or, do you also want to see me on the way? Of course, women like to hear nice words. If Su-yin told the truth, he wouldn't have thought of seeing her on the way. However, in order to make Gu Qia feel better and help him later, Su-yin had to say something against his will. He reached out and wiped his nose. He nodded. I did want to see you. After all, you've helped me so much before. Gu Qia smiled disapprovingly. Su-yin, I've helped you so much. How could you lie to me? Hee hee. It doesn't matter if you say it directly. I know very well that you're not so free as to come to the international waters to see me. Do you know when men lie, they like to touch their nose or rub their hands? When women lie, they like to touch their hair. Su-yin was stunned. His lie was exposed. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't be so hypocritical. He looked at Gu Qia awkwardly and didn't know how to reply. However, you lied to please me. Since your starting point was for my sake, I won't pursue your responsibility. Gu Qia said. Drink with me as an apology. Su-yin was helpless. He only wanted to talk to Gu Qia about Mudo Ichiro, but Gu Qia insisted on holding the glass of champagne in front of Su-yin. Su-yin had no choice but to take it and drink it. A glass of champagne was no big deal to him. After drinking a glass of champagne, Su-yin went straight to the point. Miss Gu, those Japanese are very dangerous. I think we should hurry. My ship is also very dangerous. My people are also very dangerous. Gu Qia interrupted Su-yin's words. Can you not call me like an outsider? I prefer you to call me Qia. If you continue to call me Miss Gu, I will really treat you as an unfamiliar Mr. Su. Qia, Su-yin said softly. What else could he do? He could only listen to Gu Qia's arrangement and continue his topic. I really don't have time to explain to you. I need your help. We can't let those Japanese take the child away. Gu Qia was stunned. What child? Su-yin's expression froze. Guogua had been kidnapped by Mudo Ichiro. If they were ferrying Guogua back through the arms merchant ship, why didn't they bring Guogua along? Could he have made a mistake? Didn't those Japanese bring a child on the ship? A 7-year-old girl, about this tall. Su-yin gestured. She was wearing an apricot yellow puffy skirt. Gu Qia shook her head. Although the Japanese are not good, they wouldn't go to Huaxia to cheat such a young girl. Gu Qia said. As far as I know, they did go to Huaxia to do something shameful, but it's definitely not human trafficking. A few million yuan ticket can't be earned just by kidnapping 2 people. I want to see those people. Su-yin couldn't sit still anymore. Gu Qia saw Su-yin's serious expression and realized that he had encountered a big problem. She stopped joking with him. After you called me, I knew that there was something wrong with those Japanese. I've already helped you control them. Let's go, I'll bring you there now. Once he heard that Gu Qia had controlled them, Su-yin's heart hung in the air. Obviously, these Japanese were definitely not Mudo Ichiro and the rest. With Mudo Ichiro's strength, it was impossible for Gu Qia and her mercenaries to subdue him. Even so, Su-yin still held on to a fluke mentality and went to see those Japanese with Gu Qia. Seeing the 4 Japanese who had been beaten black and blue by Paul and the rest, disappointment instantly filled Su-yin's heart. They were not Mudo Ichiro and his men at all. Looking at the wretched looks on the 4 Japanese's faces, he knew that they were not doing good business. Without Su-yin's interrogation, Paul, who had already tortured them into confessing, explained the reason why these guys had gone to Huaxia. They had robbed a big tomb in Japan and obtained the saber of a very famous general in Japan during the Edo period. That saber was definitely a treasured saber that could cut through iron like mud. However, it could not be sold for a high price in Japan. It was different in Huaxia. Many rich people offered hundreds of millions of yuan. Therefore, after the rich people in Huaxia paid a deposit of $5 million, they brought the saber to Huaxia. What these Japanese tomb raiders did not expect was that after the rich people in Huaxia received the saber, they did not pay the rest of the money. They even found someone to beat up the 4 guys and told them to go back and tell old dog Ampere not to see him. Otherwise, they would use this saber to cut him down. Of course, he was not that kind of despicable person. He did not get back the $5 million he paid. The historical value of this saber was indeed worth this price. These 4 Japanese did not earn any money. 4 million of them were paid to Gu Chia to buy a boat ticket. If it was in the past, Su Yin would definitely have the idea of meeting this rich people in Huaxia. In terms of doing things, this rich people in Huaxia must be a bold person. But now Su Yin had no time to think about those messy things. His mind was buzzing. Where would Muto Ichiro take Guogua to? Could it be that they went to see was just a smokescreen? In reality, they went back to Huaxia to deal with him, or hurt others. This thought ignited endless fear in Su Yun's heart. Of course he was worried, very worried. If Muto Ichiro's trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain had exposed him, then everyone in Shinkai Hotel would be in danger. However, at this moment, the 4 Japanese who had been beaten black and blue told him a shocking piece of news. I know who you're looking for. They're going to board the boat on the same day as us. But they're not on the same boat as us, but another one. It's also a munitions ship from Canada. This news gave Su Yin hope again. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.